The CFL in the Western Division, Winnipeg needing a victory to move into temporary possession of first place, but BC will have a chance later on this weekend to tie them again for that top spot. In the East, as you can see, it's extremely important for the Argonauts. They need a victory to tie Ottawa and Hamilton for second spot, for what it turns out to be the last playoff position. CTV Sports presents Friday Night Football. Live from Exhibition Stadium in Toronto, it's the Winnipeg Blue Bombers versus the Toronto Argonauts. We have got fall night, cool weather, and very breezy, and that describes it perfectly, really, for the players. Hello, everybody. This is the kind of a game where people aren't really sure. Is it going to be very competitive, or are we liable to see a blowout? As far as the odds makers are concerned, they say 10.5 points favor Winnipeg, and why not the way they ran all over Saskatchewan and the fact that Toronto was bombarded by Hamilton 40-10 in their last game. But you've got to remember that Toronto now has had 2 weeks to get ready, and they've got a lot of changes. Upstairs, Pat Marsden and Lee Pedersen will tell us about the changes. And you know, gentlemen, people are talking about these Blue Bombers. How good are they? Cal Murphy says he's not quite sure how good they are. But some say they are now, without doubt, the best of the CFL. What do you think, Pat?
Well, Bill, I don't think there's any question that they've been the best in the CFL the last 7 weeks. They haven't lost a football game during that period of time. But you know what I'm excited about tonight, Leaf? The old Wild West show is back in the CFL.
Boy, you're right, Pat. James West will make his first appearance this year in the Canadian Football League. And, you know, seems like the rich get richer, because in his 3 years with the Calgary Stampeders, he was one of the best linebackers in the league. Tonight, he teams up with Tyrone Jones, and what a formidable linebacking crew they form.
Well, it is a little bit surprising that Winnipeg made a lineup change because they've been so consistent. It is not surprising that the Argos have made a number once again tonight.
No, Pat, it's not. And I think 2 of the more significant changes will be a new middle linebacker and, of course, a new running back. David Marshall, he spent last year with the Cleveland Browns. Bob Ovilovich hopes he will be the guy that will anchor that 4-3 defense. As well, Kevin Lowe makes his debut tonight, the second leading rusher in Buffalo Bills preseason this year. Bob Ovilovich again says he's got the hands out of the backfield, and boy, these guys need all the help they can get.
Well, I don't know how you look at this ball game, whether or not it's going to be a blowout for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, or whether, in fact, the Toronto Argonauts can make a game of it. I would think the thing that Cal Murphy would be most concerned about is that his Blue Bombers don't look beyond this game to the BC Lions. We're going to find out the result with the kickoff in a moment.
This CFL telecast is brought to you by Carling O'Keefe Sports, bringing the sports world home to you. Tonight, football fans, we have the senior referee, Lorne Woods, who hails from Ottawa. That's where he did all his refereeing and learned the business and became the #1 man as far as seniority is concerned in the Canadian Football League, and that's the rest of the crew that will be working with him. Well, we're looking for an interesting game, Pat and Leaf, so take it away.
Thank you, Bill. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers have lost only 1 game to Eastern opposition this year. That, of course, was the opener to the Montreal Concords, so you know that they play well against teams from the East, and we would expect they will do so again tonight. The Toronto Argonauts, they have really gone downhill since the injury to regular quarterback Condredge Holloway, but they're hoping tonight that maybe the kid, Ricky Turner, can turn in a solid effort and keep them in a position where if the ball game is close, maybe they could win it late in the fourth quarter.
Well, you know, he had an impressive game in the BC game a few weeks ago. Of course, he was just coming in the second half, and it makes it a lot easier. When you have to start a game, the pressure builds up. Let's see how he handles it tonight.
Hank Olisic with the kickoff for the Toronto Argonauts to either Sean Keogh or Kevin Nealis. And he gets a good one away that Keogh will handle at his 4-yard line. And Keogh only gets to the 20 as the Toronto Argonaut cover team was there to drop him at that point. So let's set up that Winnipeg Blue Bomber offense for you with the great veteran Tom Clements, who has now thrown 14 touchdown passes, 13 interceptions with his 59% completion record. Willard Reeves, the leading rusher in the Canadian Football League, will carry most of the load on the ground. And there's the receiving corps, all experienced, all great hands, and virtually all of them can break it for the distance.
Well, James Hood, the one change this week, he's in for James Murphy, and they don't lose a thing with him in the lineup.
Clemens' first pass is caught by Jeff Boyd, and Boyd is dropped at about the 29-yard line by Marcellus Green, the veteran Toronto Argonaut cornerback who rejoins the team after spending last season in the NFL. Pick up his 8 yards, so make it 2nd and 2 as you look at that Toronto offensive line.
Once again, Mark Moore is playing center this week in place of the injured John Bunk.
Excuse me, I said the Toronto offensive line. Of course, it's the Winnipeg Blue Bomber offensive line. They're looking for a 2-yard pickup here by Willard Reeves, who crossed the 30 and should have the first down as he got to the 31-yard line. And it is so signaled by referee Lauren Woods. Don Moan, number 36, along with Rod Harding, 77, were there to bring him down.
Tommy Clements and I had an interesting chat as we see the Argonaut defensive line. Tommy and I had a good chat this morning. He said that's the greatest feature of the Toronto defense is that front four, and what they'd like to do early is chop block them quickly on short passes to try and slow that rush down.
Clemens' pass is no good. He was looking for Jeff Boyd down the touchline, and he was rocked by Darrell Wilson. The ball came loose. So this is the situation that Toronto wants Winnipeg to be in, 2nd and long yardage throughout the course of this ball game, because they feel then they'll be able to control that very potent Winnipeg offense, which has scored the most points in the CFL this year. Cliff Hewitt is starting at the safety spot, number 15 for Toronto tonight.
He's over on the north side.
2nd and 10 Blue Bombers. And the pass is complete to Joe Poplawski, who was wide open. And Poplawski gets very close to midfield before Cliff Hewitt, the man we were speaking of, was there to make the tackle. A pickup of 23 yards, and it looked oh so easy. Clemens to a wide open Joe Poplawski coming across the middle.
Toronto Argonaut secondary, primarily a zone coverage team. That time a huge hole for the veteran Joe Poplawski to find.
So the Bombers have taken the opening kickoff and marched it all the way to their 54-yard line where they have a first down. Back-to-back first downs for Tom Clements and that Bomber offense. And Jeff Boyd again makes the catch in Toronto territory at the 43, brought down once again by number 21, Marcellus Green. But on 3 first downs, Clements has gone to the air. Pickup of 13 yards. It is now 3 straight first downs for the Blue Bombers. Bob Obilovich, well, he's been scratching his head the last few weeks because he can't understand why his defense, which he felt would be able to carry him through this troubled times without Conrad Holloway at quarterback, has been so inefficient. This is Willard Reeves on the draw, and Reeves gets inside the 40 to about the 38-yard line before Gary Doolin, number 61, the former Saskatchewan Rough Rider and former Ottawa Rough Rider, was there to bring him down with help from William Mitchell, number 39. The pickup, however, is 6 yards. It'll be 2nd and 4.
Well, what Tommy Clements would love to do is to get Willard Reeves and his rushing abilities involved early in the game to try and slow down that Toronto pass rush. Then he has so many options to play action and so forth off that. But get Willard running that ball early.
Here's a little pitch back to Kevin Nealis. And Nealis is dropped back at the line of scrimmage by Rodney Harding, number 77. Well, that's a big play for the Argos because now we'll see Trevor Kennard and the field goal unit for the Blue Bombers. Bombers have been very effective throwing the football. And then all of a sudden on 2nd and 4, they tried to trick the Argos with that little flanker reverse to Kevin Nealis. So the field goal try will come from 46 yards out. And it is wide. The Argos will concede the single point as Jan Karinci goes down on one knee. And Bobo Bilovich and his crew have to be very pleased at the fact that they get out of that by only giving up a single point. But the Blue Bombers move it and pick up the first scoring point of the ball game. It's 1-0 Winnipeg over Toronto. We'll be back with Toronto's offense in a moment. At Exhibition Stadium in Toronto, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers took the opening kickoff, and then on a wide field goal try by Trevor Kennard, they pick up the first scoring point of the ball game as the Argos get their first opportunity now with the football, starting from their 39-yard line, which was the point of the last scrimmage. Ricky Turner, the rookie quarterback, is in there, and his first play tosses it off to Kevin Lowe, the newcomer, in that Toronto backfield, and he picks up maybe a yard at most, as he was hit there by Ken Haley, number 24, and Frank Robinson, 37, the linebacker. There's the way Toronto lines up offensively. Kevin Lowe, as Leaf mentioned, comes to the Argos from the camp of the Buffalo Bills. Bob Bronk is 100% this year, and they need him certainly. And a very experienced receiving corps led by Terry Greer, who's not having the kind of year that many of us had hoped. Turner's first pass of the ball game is deep, looking for Greer. He's got it at the 30-yard line and steps out of bounds at the 26. Roy Bennett was covering on the play, but Terry Greer got in behind him to pick up a big 46-yard gain, and the Argos surprised that vaunted Winnipeg Blue Bomber defense. Ricky Turner right on the money to his speedy wide receiver.
Well, just a simple case of Terry Greer outrunning Roy Bennett. Roy Bennett, who has not been beaten this season for a touchdown, allows Terry Greer to get in behind, and that's a great way to start for a young quarterback. 46 yards on that reception to Terry Greer.
Argos have a first down at the Winnipeg 26. Turner in trouble. And he's inside the 15 to about the 13-yard line before Tyrone Jones upends him at that point, but it's another Toronto first down. A pickup of 13 yards as both of these offenses come out flying here early in the first quarter.
Interesting that Paul Robson, the general manager of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, go ahead, Leaf.
Well, Ricky Turner using that scrambling ability got a great block from Kevin Lowe, the newcomer in that backfield, but back-to-back first downs for the Argonauts.
Ball is inside the Winnipeg 15. The toss goes to Kevin Lowe. And Lowe had absolutely no place to go as he's dropped for a loss of a couple of yards. Tyrone Jones, 35, and Frank Robinson, 37. The two linebackers on that side of the field were there to make the stop.
I was going to say that Paul Robson was saying he was worried about the Argos. I said, now, how can you worry about them after you trample Saskatchewan and the Argos are walloped by Hamilton? He says, Ricky Turner worries me. And I said, how come? And he said, because of the scrambling ability. He says, that really scares me. And he showed it there.
Turner's pass is no good. He was looking for Terry Greer right at the goal line, and Greer couldn't hang on as he was trying to make sure that he got at least 1 foot in bounds.
Well, Ricky Turner, you saw him saying to Terry, I should have got it into you, because Terry Greer ran just an outstanding pattern on Roy Bennett. Was in for the touchdown, but could not hang on to the football. I suspect the referee got in his way a little bit there and distracted him.
So now we'll see whether or not the Argos can pick up a field goal, because Lance Chomick will try this one from the 22-yard line with Jan Karinci to hold. And it is good. So both offenses move very well in their opening series, but the Argos do pick up the field goal, and as a result, they lead the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 3-1. We'll be back in just a moment. 33 seconds of the opening quarter. The Toronto Argonauts lead the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 3-1. Both offenses in high gear. However, both stalled when they got into a position where they might be able to put the ball in the end zone, and as a result, Lance Chomick was able to kick a field goal for the Argonauts. Trevor Kennard was wide with his attempt. The Argos lead at 3-1 as Tom Clements and that Winnipeg offense goes to work at their own 35. This is Willard Reeves. Big hole for Willard. And he's out very close to the 45-yard line, and depending upon the placement of the ball, he may or may not have a first down. William Mitchell, 39, and Darrell Wilson, 13, combine on the stop for Toronto.
Pat, I was going to say, Pat, it should be pointed out, Kennedy was kicking into the swirling wind. He was going into the wind. Chomik was not. He had the wind with him.
Great block there by number 59, Lyle Bauer, the right offensive guard. He kicked out, and Willard Reeves got them close enough so Tom Clements can pick up that first down.
And he does, so that's 4 first downs early in the first quarter for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as they spot the ball at the 46-yard line, and that's where Tom Clements, Willard Reeves, and the rest of that offensive unit will go to work. And they can hit you so quickly. I mean, when you've got the speed of Jeff Boyd and James Hood on the outside and the sure hands of people like Joe Poplawski and Jerome Erdman inside, it doesn't take very long to get a move on.
You sure have a great blend of receivers out there. Clements under pressure from number 74, James Curry, and Curry is there to record the first sack of the ball game and only the 26th sack against Winnipeg quarterbacks so far this season. Well, they lead the CFL in that department, having had their quarterback sacked the least number of times. But James Curry, who was an all-star last year, has not had a bad year this year for the Argonauts. He's got to be their leader on defense, and right there he gets to Tom Clements, and that's a big play.
The loss was 14 yards at 2nd and 24. They run the draw to Willard Reeves, looking only to pick up field position, really, as David Marshall, the newcomer at that middle linebacking spot, 73, and William Mitchell, 39, combined on the tackle. But now we'll see Bob Cameron in his first punt of the ball game. Incidentally, Willard Reeves is now within about 40 yards of a 1,000-yard rushing season.
Well, you saw number 73, David Marshall, spent all last season with the Cleveland Browns, could not make their club this year, consequently in a 21-day trial, and starting tonight. Middle linebacker's been a sore spot for the Argonauts all year long.
Cameron's punt, and nobody punts better into the wind than he does, chases Carinci back to his 20. And Carinci, who really knows how to go north and south, takes it up to the 30-yard line. And that's where the Argos will put the ball into play when we come back. It is Toronto 3, Winnipeg 1. We'll be back with the Argonaut offense in a moment. About 8 minutes, 45 seconds of this opening quarter. The Toronto Argonauts lead at 3-1 over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Toronto with a good start. They did not play last week, so they've had a couple of weeks to really get ready for this vaunted Winnipeg Blue Bomber club, and there's no question about it that the Bombers and the BC Lions are the elite teams in the CFL at this point in the schedule. Toronto starting from just outside their 30-yard line with rookie Ricky Turner at quarterback. There is movement along that line of scrimmage. Now the question is, did Toronto draw the Blue Bombers offside? We'll wait for referee Lauren Woods to give us the indication.
This is great where they all stand there and point at each other and then try to let the referee, Lauren Woods, figure it all out.
Well, he's figured it out because he said the Blue Bombers were offside.
Offside, Winnipeg 36.
Well, the call was that David Shaw was offside, but I suspect it may have been 35, Ty Jones, as opposed to David Shaw. On the screen pass, this is Jeff Townsend, and Townsend has another Toronto first down as he crosses the 50 to about the 52-yard line. A pickup of 16 yards on the screen pass to the wide receiver Jeff Townsend. Darrell Patterson, 76, and Wiley Turner, 28, combined to bring him down.
Well, if you're going to be successful on a quick screen, you've got to get the initial block. That time, number 20, Kerry Taylor, comes out, gets that block on David Shaw, and Jeff Townsend, with his excellent speed, picks up some pretty good yardage.
That's only the 13th reception of 1985 for Jeff Townsend, who is starting tonight. He's been playing a backup role much of the time. This is Kerry Taylor, but on him right away was Ken Haley, as Taylor got it to the 54-yard line for a pickup of about 3.5 yards.
You talk about Jeff Townsend, Pat, only 13 catches so far this year, but 3 touchdowns, not a bad ratio. So you see Kerry Taylor quick out of the slot back position, but Ken Haley, he is one of the best inside safeties in the league, up quickly to make the play.
Haley with 70 tackles coming into this ball game, so you know that not too many people get by him in a situation like that. Turner slips down, then flips it, but it'll go as an incomplete forward pass, and that's a fortunate turn of events for the Argos because they very well could have ruled that Turner was either in the grass, down, or just threw the ball away.
Well, you just saw a graphic of the linebackers of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and really that is the heart and core of their defense. And this time, number 37, Frank Robinson, makes the great play. He keeps that outside containment. There he is, 37. He will not allow Ricky Turner to go outside of him. Consequently, when he has to cut back in, there's no place to go.
And so with 4 minutes and 35 seconds left to play in the opening quarter and Toronto leading at 3-1, Hank Olisic will be in for his first punt of the ball game with the wind at his back. It'll be Sean Keogh and Kevin Nealis, 39 and 25, back to return it for the Blue Bombers. It was a good rush by Winnipeg, but he got it off to Keogh, who takes it at the 24, and then is dropped as he gets to the 27-yard line. A 33-yard boot, a 3-yard return as Dan Rasevich, number 35, was down quickly to make the tackle for the Argonauts.
Pat and Leaf, the Argo players are complaining a little bit about the turf being wet in the middle, and that Turner says that's why he slipped out there, and they're not getting the good footing. Maybe they put a little bit too much water on it because we haven't had, well, we had rain this morning, and maybe it's still wet from there. But on the turf subject, too, the Bombers couldn't believe how good it is because this is new turf, and the last time they played here, if you recall, it was the skin turf, and it was just brutal to play on.
Well, the fact that it rained most of last night probably helped it to be a little wet, too, as Willard Reeves takes the handout and gets to about the 30 or 31-yard line and is dropped by the new middle linebacker, David Marshall. Marshall, a graduate of Eastern Michigan University, as Leaf pointed out, played last season with the Cleveland Browns in the NFL. And if he could come in there and solidify that linebacking core for the Argos, it really might help their defensive stats.
Well, originally it was going to be Darrell Nicholson, then it was William Mitchell, then James Reed, Dan Rasevich. I mean, they've played a lot of guys at that spot, and that's the spot you don't want to tinker around with too much.
Clements on 2nd and 7 finds Joe Poplawski for another big gain up to the 49-yard line before Dennis Clay, number 14, rides him to the turf, but the pickup is 19 yards on a pass that was very similar to one earlier in this quarter that Poplawski caught for 23.
See how he used that right arm to just a little subtle push-off on number 14, Dennis Clay, and that's the second good pass he's caught over the middle. Obviously, Tom Clements feels that's an area that they can expose.
Boy, it's tough to defend when you throw them perfect like Connie is there, too.
Well, Joe gave it the good little push there, too, and got away with it.
On first down, Clements' pass is caught by Jerome Erdman, number 29, as he crosses midfield into Toronto territory at the 54. Don Moan, the linebacker on that side, wrote him down at that point.
Good call on first down. You see Jerome Erdman still looking for his first touchdown of 1985, but you know, we talked about their receivers, and they do have an excellent blend. Speed burners on the outside and a couple of extremely dependable Canadian receivers playing those slot back positions.
He hurt his ankle, Leaf, when he came off the field, so he's come out of the ball game now, too. We'll check and see how bad it may be.
Kevin Nealis is in replacing him. On first down, Clements passes again, caught by Joe Poplawski, and Joe Pop almost popped that one as he got to the 30-yard line. And but for the tackle of Carl Braisley, he might well have gone all the way. A 24-yard pickup by Joe Poplawski.
Tom Clements told me today Toronto was predominantly zone coverage. Joe Poplawski, a simple hook pattern, get between the outside and the middle linebacker and stay in the hole, and Tommy feathered it in perfectly. They got a nice drive going here.
6 out of 7 is Clements in passing so far for 94 yards. It is first down, Winnipeg at the Toronto 30. Clements' pass into the middle is picked off. This is Don Moan with the interception for the Argonauts, and he takes it to the 31-yard line. Tommy Clements threw it into the heart of the Toronto defense, and Don Moan comes up with the interception. And let's see what that does now for the Argonauts, who, although they played well in this first quarter, really needed something to give them a boost.
Well, initially, the inside receiver, Joe Poplawski, was covered. He works back inside, but that's a ball Tommy should not have thrown. It's a first down play. Take the sack. You still got second down to keep the drive going. 14th
interception of a Tom Clements pass in 1985. Argos now with the ball just outside their 30. And this is Jeff Townsend. And Townsend with good speed gets into Winnipeg territory at the 52-yard line before Ken Haley came around to knock him out of bounds. But that was an excellent call by that Toronto coaching staff because the Blue Bombers went with the flow, and the reverse to Jeff Townsend picks up 28 yards.
Watch the block, number 51, Jeff Inglis on number 58, James West, and that springs Jeff Townsend to the outside. And boy, in the first quarter, I've been impressed with the Argonauts. They've been able to move the football reasonably well.
They've lost 5 of their last 6 games, but they haven't looked this sharp in about 2.5 months. First down, Toronto at the Winnipeg 52. Again, going deep to Terry Greer, but it's over his head with Roy Bennett providing the defensive coverage from his cornerback spot on that side. Terry Greer, coming into this ball game, had caught 50 passes, 7 of them for touchdowns, but really hasn't had the kind of year that Toronto fans had been hoping for.
Well, when Conrich Holloway was in, he and Terry Greer just had a chemistry that could not be covered. And, of course, when Conrich went down, Terry Greer's production also went down.
Scott Flagel having an outstanding year at that safety spot for the Blue Bombers, number 14, as you saw their defensive alignment. Turner sends the screen pass to Bob Bronk, and Bronk is inside the 45 to about the 43. Now he'll be short by a couple of yards because Tony Norman and Wiley Turner combined to bring him down.
Jerome Erdman, who twisted the ankle when he came off on that catch that he made earlier, has had the ankle retaped. He's running at it, and I think he's going to be ready to go back into action with the Bombers.
Thank you, Bill. Lance Chomick is going to line up his second field goal attempt of the ball game. Jan Carinci will spot it at the 51-yard line. He's got the wind at his back, and Chomick puts it up there, but it hits the upright. The ball will come out to the 25-yard line as Chomick is just a little bit short. And the Blue Bombers will dodge what appeared to be a bit of a bullet, but they were able to stop the Argos outside their 40.
Tough break for the young kicker. He just caught it right in the joining between the upright and the crossbar, and boy, as a young kicker, you sure would like to grab that one.
You know, he was kicking a couple from 60 yards before the game lead. Mind you, at that time, that wind was really coming in and swirling behind him. He would have been kicking with the wind. The wind now has died right down. It's been rather a strange evening. Strong wind at the start of the game. It's died right down, but I'm sure we'll get it back before this game's over.
On what should be the final play of the first quarter, the screen goes to Jeff Boyd, but the Argos read it well, particularly Don Moan, who is there to make the tackle for the Argos. There'll be no gain on the play as the first quarter comes to an end, with the Toronto Argonauts out in front of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 3-1. We'll return with the second quarter in a moment. Stadium in Toronto as we begin to start the second quarter of play with the Argonauts out in front of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 3-1, and Winnipeg starting with the ball at their 25-yard line. Clemens' pass is caught by Jeff Boyd, and look out because this guy can go the distance on a play like this. Darrell Wilson makes the saving tackle at the Toronto 39-yard line. Jeff Boyd, who has simply been outstanding virtually all of 1985 and was last week's Pacific Western Offensive Player of the Week, picks up 46 yards.
You know, it's funny, Cal Murphy told Jeff Boyd, he said, you can catch the football. You've got to work on your open field running with your great speed. And, boy, what a job he does here. All the way across the field, going to get a good block from 39 Sean Kehoe right there on Carl Braisley. And 46 yards later, he's dragged out of bounds by Darrell Wilson. But, boy, is he an exciting receiver. You know, we've got Mervyn Fernandez, Terry Greer, Jeff Boyd. Some darn good receivers in this league.
Sean Kehoe, whom you mentioned had thrown the good block to spring him loose, was injured on the play. Obviously hurt his shoulder or his arm.
Pat, I was talking to Conrich Holloway, the injured quarterback for the Argos. I said, do you think Winnipeg's better this year? He said, yes, I think they are better. And he said, one of the reasons is Sean Kehoe, that making them better than they were last year. Are you in favor of an annual postseason East-West CFL All-Star game? Yes, 86%. No, 14%.
This is Willard Reeves. And Reeves with a big run inside the 25 to the 24-yard line before he's brought down by Dennis Clay. But it's a 15-yard pickup for Willard Reeves, who only needed 57 yards to get to the 1,000-yard mark, and he already has 45.
Great block by Nick Pastai on James Curry, enabled Reeves to get through there. But if they're going to give him those kind of holds, he's going to have a good night.
First down Bombers at the Toronto 24-yard line. Clemens' pass is caught by Jerome Erdman. And Erdman with a good run is inside the 5 to about the 4-yard line before David Marshall, the middle linebacker, had to come all the way back to help on the tackle along with William Mitchell, 39. A 29-yard pickup by Jerome Erdman.
Well, it looked like Darrell Wilson and Marcellus Green both dropping back deep on that side. Just turned Jerome Erdman completely loose, and you just can't do that and hope to be successful on defense. Tom Clements will see that and pick it apart.
They actually spot the ball at the 3-yard line. You see Tommy Clements adjusting his footwear. Jerome Erdman is the injured Winnipeg Blue Bomber down on the field and being attended to by the training staff.
Seems to be that ankle again, Pat. I can't be sure from the way he's laying, but they seem to be looking at it. And plus, the wrist, too. He went down on the left wrist, so he is having himself a tough night.
He's already caught 2 passes for 28 yards.
David, no. Well, Jerome Erdman at 5'10", 165 is not the biggest guy out in the field by any stretch of the imagination, and it definitely is the ankle as he's being helped off the field.
By the way, I know that football fans will be interested to hear that they sold out for the BC game that takes place on the 6th of October in Winnipeg last Wednesday, and that's the earliest sellout they've ever had in the history of the Winnipeg football organization. And what a game that should be, the first of 2.
Willard Reeves carries for the touchdown. So the Blue Bombers go back out in front. They lead it 7-3 with the point after to come as Tommy Clements, who's off to a terrific start in this ball game, just hands the ball off to Willard Reeves. And when you're down that close, he's not going to be denied.
Well, that was a beautiful drive, and it all started with that big pass and run play to Jeff Boyd. A run by Willard Reeves, good catch by Jerome Erdman, and boy, they make it look easy, don't they?
And the other thing about Winnipeg is when they get on a roll, they can sometimes be impossible to stop. Right now, the Blue Bombers lead the Toronto Argonauts 8-3 with the kickoff to come, and we'll be back to see it in just a moment. Access to TV replays. If you feel yes, there's the number to call. No, there's the other number, and there is a 50-cent service charge. Tommy Clements has been good on 9.
If you want to give me a shot of Erdman here on the sidelines, I'll give you another report on him.
Well, that'd be good if we didn't have to hear all the instructions that were going on, but it is 9 of 11 for Clements.
Well,
162 yards. Harry Taylor with the kickoff return for the Argos breaks out of there and gets to the 38-yard line where the Argos will put it into play.
Harry Taylor with the kickoff.
The story on Erdman is simply as that ankle, as you pointed out, Leaf and Pat, but they feel, although it is sprained, that he is going to be able to continue to play. That's the story from Ross Hodgkinson, who in the old days used to be called a trainer, but now they're called athletic therapists. Shows you how times change, doesn't it?
You got to have a title.
Ricky Turner going deep once again and just overthrows Terry Greer, streaking down the sidelines, but Roy Bennett was with him.
Well, Pat, that's the 3rd time they've tried that fly pattern. Once successful on their first series of the football game, but obviously Ricky Turner and the coaching staff feels that that's one area they would like to attack tonight. There don't seem to be too many weaknesses that they can really go against. Cliff Hewitt on the bench for the Argonauts, getting some instructions from the spotters up in the press box here at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto, getting his first start of the year.
At that safety position in that Argonaut defensive alignment. It is 2nd and 10, Toronto, from their 38-yard line. Turner is able to evade the rush. Couldn't find anybody open and is still on his feet momentarily until Stan Mikowicz, number 75, was there to bring him down after a pickup of only a couple of yards. Let's credit that Winnipeg secondary because there was no one open for Ricky Turner to throw the football to.
Yeah, good job on the right side by Roy Bennett on Terry Greer, and that just shut the whole play down because on that side of the football field he did not have any other receivers, and that Winnipeg defense is so quick. You've got Stan Mikowicz, John Sturdivant, and a host of others chasing Ricky Turner all over the field until they finally drag him down.
So for only the 2nd time in the ball game, Hank Olisic will be punting as Sean Keogh is back in the game along with Kevin Nealis to return it. Good punt by Olisic. This will be Nealis from his 18-yard line. What a brilliant return by Kevin Nealis over the 35 to about the 37-yard line. It was a 52-yard boot, but a 20-yard return by Kevin Nealis as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, leading the Toronto Argonauts 8-3, will have the football when we come back. Winnipeg leading the Toronto Argonauts 8-3. Cal Murphy has done a tremendous job as the head coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, twice Coach of the Year. Bob Obilovich has been the Coach of the Year too, but he doesn't expect to receive it this season as the Argos are really struggling. On first down, they try the draw to Willard Reeves, and Willard picks his way out very close to the 45-yard line for a pickup of 7 or 8 yards before the middle linebacker, David Marshall, was there to bring him down.
Well, that run really didn't look like a heck of a lot, but Willard Reeves is so strong, and he broke that tackle of Walter Ballard. What could have just been maybe a 2-yard gain turns out to 7 or 8.
They spot the ball right at the 45, so let's make it second down, 3 yards to go. Blue Bombers, who really seem to be getting into a very consistent pattern here. Clemens puts it up. Jeff Boyd makes the catch. And he's dropped by Marcellus Green, who's really playing him soft out there, giving him all kinds of room. And as a result, the pickup is 13 yards. It's another Winnipeg first down. And the Bombers, week in and week out, if they are getting better, they looked sensational the last time I saw them a couple of weeks ago. And maybe they're even better tonight. I don't know.
Well, Pat, you know what I like about Cal Murphy? They got off to kind of a tough start, 2-2, but you know, they didn't panic, and now they've really turned it on.
Willard Reeves, the ball carrier, is inside the 45-yard line to about the 41.5 and has just passed the 1,000-yard mark for 1985. And once again, Sean Keogh is down on one knee.
Looks like that ankle is going to keep him doing that all game, Pat. He'll come in, get it checked out. Look at that Reeves go. He has to be one of the all-time great backs in this league. And you know how tough it is to get a good back. When you get one, they're like a piece of gold, and it's shown by the fact that the Toronto Argonauts have been looking for a good back ever since they lost Cedric Minter, and they've gone through 15, and they've yet to really find one. They're hoping they might have one now in the person of Lowe, but only time will tell.
Well, Leaf, it was Jerome Erdman and not Sean Keogh who was banged up on that play. So Erdman leaves the field once again, and that means Kevin Nealis will come in. I think I'll leave the spotting to Alex Ponton, and you just worry about the color comments. Attaboy, Alex. It's first down, Winnipeg at that point. As Clemens' pass is caught by Joe Poplawski, and he's forced out by Dennis Clay at about the 31-yard line, which should be another Winnipeg first down.
Well, Tommy Clemens is really in a groove now in the second quarter, mixing up the pass and the run. A little crossing pattern with James Hood and Joe Poplawski. Joe Poplawski enjoying an excellent first half. Nice, easy catch, and now what are they going to do? Run or throw? Toronto's really off balance.
This is Willard Reeves, the ball carrier, and he gets inside the 30, but just barely, before James Curry and Don Moan, 74 and 36, combined to bring him down.
Well, it's that time of the year where we start thinking Shenleys, and, you know, for the Toronto Argonauts, I think no Canadian has played better than number 36, Don Moan, this year at that linebacker spot for them.
Well, he may get a nomination, but I'll guarantee you one thing, he's not going to win it. Not too many Toronto Argonauts are going to walk off with silverware in 1985. Clemens fires. James Hood makes the catch, but he's out of bounds. Carl Bracely was the defender on the play. Hood made a diving catch, but came down out of the field of play.
Well, we talked to James Murphy out of the lineup, so that means James Hood gets a chance to play once again tonight, and he makes a super catch right here, unfortunately way out of bounds, not even close, but that's a great catch nevertheless.
So Trevor Kennard, who was wide with his only field goal attempt of the evening, will try this one from the 37-yard line with Bob Cameron to hold. And newly acquired Preston Young back to return it if it's no good, and it is wide. But he will concede the single point. So Kennard will be 0 for 2 tonight. The leading scorer in the CFL has missed both field goal tries. But the Winnipeg Blue Bombers lead the Toronto Argonauts 9-3, and we'll be back in just a moment.
You can now get aluminum cans of O'Keefe's Extra Old Stock in new compact 12 and 24 packs. They're easy to handle and easy to store. The convenient way to pick up beer.
O'Keefe's Extra Old Stock, great new case.
First there were lightweight aluminum cans, then came the high can, now comes the heavyweight. Close to a liter, the O'Keefe's Extra Old Stock 946 mil heavyweight.
Your GM dealers 1986 All-Star Kickoff is on. See the great new 86 lineup of cars and trucks. Get in on all the big savings with special value option packages. Take a test drive. You could win a weekend at the Grey Cup. So get down to your GM dealer's 1986 All-Star Kickoff by October 5th. Make your best deal now.
Tommy Clements hurt the shoulder on that last play offensively, and he had the trainer, Hodgkinson, I should say, pardon me, athletic therapist, looking at it. And apparently it was up on the point of the shoulder, but now you can see Tommy throwing it. But just in case he is not ready to go because of the shoulder, Hufnagel has also started to warm up.
Well, the Argos are still in this ballgame despite the tremendous performance by Tom Clements so far. Ricky Turner looking, and again he's going to go deep to Terry Greer. Makes the catch, and it's another big play for the Argos at the Winnipeg 31-yard line. That's the second time tonight that Greer has been able to make the catch with Roy Bennett covering.
Well, Pat, they wanted to throw a screen to the wide receiver, Terry Greer, but Winnipeg came up and covered it so well, he just decided to take off. Ricky Turner read it, and once again they hook up on a long bomb over Roy Bennett.
And let's say something about that Toronto Argonaut offensive line, which is doing an excellent job in protecting Ricky Turner, because we know how devastating they can be. It is first down Toronto at the Winnipeg 31. And this is Lowe. Kevin Lowe gets inside the 25 to about the 24 before Scott Flagel, 14, and Darrell Patterson, 76, are there to bring him down.
Well, he was the second leading rusher in preseason for the Buffalo Bills, so that is not too shabby, and I think the Toronto Argonauts are very fortunate to have Kevin Lowe.
His pickup was 7 yards, make it 2nd and 3. Toronto at the Winnipeg 24. Turner brings it right down to the 1-yard line. He was able to evade Stan Mikowicz as he was getting to the outside, and then took it all the way down to the 1-yard line for a 23-yard gain for the Toronto Argonauts. Ricky Turner.
And he's a little winded, as you can see at the end of this run. This was run all the way. Kevin Lowe came out of the backfield and was blocking immediately downfield. What a great move to get away from Frank Robinson. You know what I like? Watch him take on Scott Flagel at the goal line. He wants to get in. He's taking on a pretty big customer there,
and he hurt that right shoulder, Lee. He may be in trouble.
And Ricky Turner is still down, but you talk about the good size of Scott Flagel, 6 feet at least, 190 pounds. Ricky Turner at 5'10" and 175. Flagel is actually 6'2", and that's more like it.
Well, here you're going to see it. Ricky Turner just really wants to get in that end zone so badly. He does not make a good choice in taking out a big guy like Scott Flagel, and has paid the consequences for it.
That's the kind of courage that head coaches don't like to see from quarterbacks, because they get injured. Danny Barrett has had to quickly warm up and come in. Barrett, who was with Calgary, played some quarterback there, then was taken right out of the quarterbacking sweepstakes and put in as a receiver and did a great job. He's only been here with Toronto a short time, but he has thrown the ball so well in practice that he's impressed Bob Obilovich tremendously, and he made him the backup quarterback, and he thinks Barrett can do a job for him. Go ahead.
I'll tell you what will impress Bob Obilovich is if Condrick Holloway's ready for next week against Ottawa.
You're right.
And Ricky Turner gets a big round of applause and appears to be all right. They checked his shoulder. Trainer Freddie Dunbar checked it, and apparently he's going to be all right, but Danny Barrett comes in to quarterback the Argos. We'll have a first down at the Winnipeg 1-yard line. Barrett keeps it himself. No sign yet. So that very stout Winnipeg defense just jams up the middle. Barrett is not able to get in. Jan Carinci comes out onto the field of play now, and Bob Bronk leaves.
Well, it had to be Big John Sturdivant, number 57, the left defensive end, that stuffed that play.
Second down, goal to go from the 1-yard line. Again, Barrett keeps it, and he's in this time for the touchdown. Danny Barrett, his first game as a member of the Toronto Argonauts, is able to get it in from 1 yard out. And the Argos have tied the ball game at 9 points apiece with the point after yet to come. But it was set up by the second long pass to Terry Greer, then the run by Ricky Turner, and now the quarterback sneak by Danny Barrett for the major score.
And all the motion going to the left side. Danny Barrett one little step to the right and sneaks barely into the end zone.
And Chomick with the point after is good, and the Argos now go back out in front. Well, it's been a much better ball game than many people would have anticipated to this point. But remember this, that the Blue Bombers can score in a hurry and score lots of them.
Well, a big plays for Toronto here in the first half. 2 long bombs to Terry Greer, setting up all their points. Field goal by Lance Chomick, and now the touchdown by Danny Barrett, who took over for the injured Ricky Turner.
But you know, the amazing thing to me is that to this point at least, the Blue Bombers, who have such a great rushing defense, have not sacked the Toronto quarterback in this first half.
You know, Pat, they really haven't come after Ricky Turner as hard as I thought they might, with James West and Tyrone Jones on the outside. I mean, you've got some guys that can really rush the passer, and they haven't brought everybody at the same time.
Bill, what's the story on Ricky Turner?
Ricky Turner is going to be coming back into the game. The injury was not the shoulder or throwing arm, as it looked as though it might be. It was ribs, so he's got a bit of sore ribs, but they've been able to put some tape on them, and he'll return to action.
Hank Olisic's kickoff comes to Sean Keogh 2 yards deep in the end zone. And Keogh tries to hurdle that initial rush of tacklers and is dropped at about the 17-yard line. So the Bombers will not have very good field position to start this latest offensive drive. Well, this is a football game that everybody across Canada is looking forward to. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers will be at home to the British Columbia Lions a week from Sunday. And if that isn't the matchup of 1985 to this point, I can't imagine what would have been.
And it was sold out last Wednesday, as I said, Pat, the earliest sellout in the history of the Bombers.
So let's watch Tom Clements in that offense as he hands off to Willard Reeves, but there's nowhere for Reeves to go as he's wrapped up right at the line of scrimmage. James Curry, 74, and David Marshall, the middle linebacker, along with Don Moan, number 36, there to bring him down.
Great play by James Curry. Nick Pastaya pulled down the line of scrimmage to block, and James Curry just followed right behind him and caught Willard Reeves from behind.
And as a matter of fact, they rule that it was loss of a yard, so it's second down, 11 to go. Winnipeg at their 16. Argonauts may have been offside, but I don't see a flag as the ball is behind James Hood, the intended receiver. So we are going to see Bob Cameron and the punting unit of the Blue Bombers.
Well, you know, Pat, when a team like the Toronto Argonauts, who has really struggled in 1985, is up against one of the best teams in the country, you really have to play error-free football. And so far in the first half, they have done that. Defense has played well, and the offense has moved the ball well enough to have a 10-9 lead.
Winnipeg has 239 yards of offense already in this ballgame. Toronto 190. We're over the 400 mark, and we still have 5.5 minutes left in the first half. As Jan Carinci handles this punt at his 44-yard line, there is a penalty flag down as Carinci is finally tackled by Scott Flagel at the Winnipeg 49-yard line. A penalty marker is down on the field. A 50-yard punt by Cameron, a 16-yard return. And now we're going to have a penalty tacked onto the Blue Bombers as well, and here's the call.
Holding. Winnipeg 74. First and 10.
Penalty is called on Vernon Paul, number 74, for holding, and the Argonauts will have first down at the Winnipeg 40. Let's watch this punt return.
That's a hard one to figure, holding on Vernon Paul, because that flag was thrown downfield. Then you see number 74 on the ground.
It was actually thrown before Carinci fielded the ball, so it obviously happened on the punt itself. First down, Argos at the Winnipeg 40. Toronto leading Winnipeg 10-9. Ricky Turner back in there at quarterback. And again, goes to the outside where the catch is made. Kevin Lowe makes the reception for the Argos down at the Winnipeg 17-yard line. Roy Bennett was there to make the stop. But again, it's a big gainer for the Argos of 23 yards.
They got the matchup they want. Kevin Lowe, a speedster on James West, who is quick himself, but not able to cover Kevin Lowe down the sidelines. And that's a very desirable matchup. On one Toronto probably has been working on in the first half to get.
First down, Argonauts at the Winnipeg 18-yard line. Again, this is Kevin Lowe, and Lowe does a nice job to dance by the line of scrimmage and get into about the 11 or 12-yard line. He was wrapped up there by Darrell Patterson, 76, and John Sturdivant, 57. But we'll see where they spot it.
Well, you just had a chance to see Conrich Holloway on the sidelines. Hopefully he will be ready to play next week when they go up against the Ottawa Rough Riders. Sending all the signals into Ricky Turner tonight. Every play is called from the bench for him.
It is second down, 5 yards to go. Toronto, the ball at the Winnipeg 12-yard line. And again, Ricky Turner runs and gives Toronto a first down inside the 5 at about the 3-yard line. A pickup of 10 yards for the rookie Toronto quarterback, Ricky Turner. James West was there to bring him down, number 58, along with Roy Bennett, the cornerback, 23.
Pat, watch the move he makes right here on 76, Darrell Patterson. Just freezes him cold and gets around him for some good yardage, a first-and-goal situation, and boy, he's done the job tonight, hasn't he?
It's hard to believe this is the same Toronto Argonaut team that we have seen lose 5 of their last 6 ball games. They are certainly playing well tonight against, as I said, one of the elite clubs in Canada, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. It is first and touchdown to go, Toronto. The ball is just at the 2-yard line. Kevin Lowe, the ball carrier, but he's upended as he gets to the line of scrimmage.
Great penetration initially by number 37, Frank Robinson. You see the look of anguish on Bob Abilovich's face. It's the worst spot when you don't know where that ball is if it's not in the end zone.
Well, it'll second down and goal to go, and we'll find out what the Argos elect to do when we come back. Toronto leads Winnipeg 10-9 with 3 minutes, 7 seconds left to play in the half. Argonauts, the ball at the Winnipeg 2-yard line. The give is to Kevin Lowe, touchdown, Toronto. Kevin Lowe with his first touchdown in the Canadian Football League in this, his first game as a member of the Toronto Argonauts. Gives the Double Blue a 16-9 lead with 2:59 left to play in this first half.
Good lead block by number 34, Bob Bronk, and then number 54, Tony Antinovic, clears the way for Kevin Lowe to get into the end zone, the second major of the ball game for the Toronto Argonauts, and it's been a while since we've seen them work so cohesively as an offensive unit.
You know, I suggested at the top of the ball game, I wondered if maybe the Blue Bombers would be looking beyond Toronto to the BC Lions, and I'm not suggesting that's the case. Let's credit Toronto with playing very well in this first half, but let's also say that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are in this ball game, whether the score is 17-9 or 27-9, because they can run up about 30 points on you before you can blink your eye. So the Argos, after the point after by Lance Chomick, have an 8-point lead, and the scoring drive of 40 yards takes 5 plays. And once again, Ricky Turner was outstanding in that drive. So far in the ball game, he has completed 7 of 11 passes for 139 yards. He has rushed 4 times himself for 49 yards, and his rushing has certainly been an important factor in the Toronto scheme of things tonight.
What else, Pat? Bob Obilovich said this week he couldn't believe how fortunate he was to be able to get a running back like Kevin Lowe. And, of course, on that last drive, he made a great catch. James West down the sidelines for 23 yards, a couple of more good rushing plays, and then he himself took it in for the touchdown.
So Hank Olisic is set to kick it off. And he boots it deep. Sean Keogh will take it again, 3 yards deep in his end zone. He hurdles the initial wave, but is dropped as he gets to the 18-yard line. Virtually a repeat of the last kickoff when Keogh again took it in his end zone and got out to about the 17 or 18. Following tonight's game, the Carling O'Keefe Sports Game Stars will receive a Royal Canadian Mint 1-ounce gold coin presented by Kodak, makers of the new 8mm Kodavision video systems featuring the portable all-in-one camera and recorder from Kodak. Winnipeg Blue Bombers starting at their 18-yard line, trailing now 17-9. Clements in trouble is dropped by James Curry. The second sack of the Winnipeg quarterback tonight, and it comes inside the 5-yard line at the 4. Argos playing like the Blue Bombers of the last 6 games, getting to the opposition quarterback, and again it's James Curry.
Well, when you're playing against one of the top teams, you've got to play great defense against them if you want to stay in the ball game. And so far in this first half, the Toronto Argonauts, as you see, sacked the quarterback twice, both of them belonging to this defensive tackle, James Curry.
2:35 left to play in the first half. Argos leading 17-9. Clements in his end zone and going deep, looking for James Hood, but he is out of bounds. For the second time tonight, James Hood makes the reception, but on both occasions he was beyond the field of play.
Well, Carl Braisley's an excellent cornerback, and I'm sure he knew James Hood was definitely going to be out of bounds, did not even go over to make the play on the ball, but had it been in bounds, he would have made the play. We're going to have a look at it here, but Tom Clements thinking in this situation, well, if the ball's picked off, it's just as good as a punt.
And speaking of punting, Bob Cameron is in to do just that, standing 10 yards deep in his end zone. Jan Carinci, the only Argo back, standing at the Winnipeg 45 as Cameron gets it away. Carinci moves up to the 42. And a good move to evade the first downfield tackle. He's inside the 35 at the 33-yard line with 2 minutes and 19 seconds left to play in what has to be a shocker of a first half. 38 yards to punt, 9 yards to return by Carinci, and Toronto once again is in Winnipeg territory. At halftime tonight, we'll hear from both Jack Goda and Joe Moss on the big trade between the Ottawa Rough Riders and their cousins from Saskatchewan. We'll profile Winnipeg's Jeff Boyd, and Leaf and I will have a look at the highlights, and there have been a lot here in the first half. Here comes the blitz, but again, this is the reverse, this time to Terry Greer. And Greer is inside the 15 to the 13-yard line. What a terrific call that was on that particular play, because Tyrone Jones was blitzing, and just as he got to Ricky Turner, he flipped it off to Terry Greer, and Greer runs at 20 yards.
Oh, Pat, you called it perfectly. Watch Tyrone Jones overrun the play, and then Terry Greer gets to the outside, gets a couple of blocks in front of him, Dan Ferroni, Kelvin Prinster, and 20 yards later, he's out of bounds, stops the clock, and once again, Toronto's in great position.
They are first down at the Winnipeg 13-yard line. Turner on a quarterback draw, and he's down to the 5-yard line. He'll be a yard short of the first down. Tyrone Jones finally made the tackle, but it was run on all the way. It was a quarterback draw. Turner took one step back, and then just straight ahead he went.
Everybody goes to the right side, and it opens up, and had Tyrone Jones not made the tackle, that was a touchdown. That's a great call. All that motion to the wide side of the field, and all you need is a little seam for this little scatterbug to get through, and he can go a long way.
It's second down, a yard to go for the first down at the Winnipeg 4-yard line. They give it to Kevin Lowe. And Lowe jumps in the air and will be very close to the first down, close to the 3. Now, this will be interesting if they don't get the first down. Do you go for the first down at this point on third, or do you kick the field goal?
Well,
I would think.
Bob Bilovich would like to see this yardage marker first and then make a choice.
Well, Vernon Paul's in the ball game. Brent Reset is too. But it is first down Toronto. No decision to be made. It is first and goal to go. Argonauts. The ball resting right at the 3-yard line of the Blue Bombers.
Well, Kevin Lowe's getting a good workout here in the first half, both running and catching the football, and gets those extra few inches to get that first down.
So Vernon Paul and Brent Reset both come out, and the regulars go back in. Wiley Turner and James West. Jan Carinci is in that full house backfield for the Argos. And now they break off as Turner rolls out of there. Throws to Paul Pearson and overthrew him. Pearson was wide open at the goal line. There was no chance that Roy Bennett could have gotten there. They expected the Argo quarterback to run it himself, but he elected to throw to Pearson and simply overthrew him.
Well, here's the big pick play by the whole right side of the Toronto Argonaut receiving corps, and that left Paul Pearson open. Terry Greer is not really open there, but Ricky Turner, a young rookie mistake, should have just floated that ball into Paul Pearson, and yet he elected to throw it a lot harder than he needed to.
So it's second down Argos at the 3-yard line. Touchdown, Ricky Turner. Fans here at Exhibition Stadium tonight, but they are all Argonaut supporters by the sound of the cheer they gave for Ricky Turner as he goes in to give the Argonauts a 23-9 lead. And there you see the happy young man from Washington State University who's having his best game by far, as Lance Chomick will now try the point after. And it is good. With a minute and 27 seconds left to play in the first half. Can you believe it? The Toronto Argonauts lead the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 24-9.
Well, the story has really been the stability of Ricky Turner, quarterback, tonight. That time he wanted to hit Terry Greer. He has to improvise and use that great scrambling ability to get himself into the end zone. And the Toronto Argonauts are really doing a number on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Here's the guy he wanted to hit initially, but David Shaw does a good wrestling job on Terry Greer, throws him to the ground, and Turner has to improvise.
Argos have rushed for 125 yards tonight. Ricky Turner has picked up 61 of them. But I'll tell you what has really worked well for them, that end-around play where they bring the wide receiver around. It's worked for Terry Greer. It's worked for Jeff Townsend. And it's been a very well-planned offensive scheme by that Argonaut coaching staff. As you look at the scoring drive, 33 yards on 6 plays with Ricky Turner scoring.
You know, anytime you play a great team, you're always waiting for them to come back. And I would think we've got ourselves in a good situation for a great second half with Toronto ahead 24-9 at this point.
I agree with you. This is Kevin Nealis from his 1-yard line. Nealis gets out over the 20 to about the 23. He's really rocked there. But with a minute and 20 seconds left, the Blue Bombers have some time to be able to generate some offense. Walter Ballard was there to make the tackle, number 79 for Toronto. And we've got an injured Argonaut. We also have Rodney Harding down, number 77, but it is Cliff Hewitt. As you see, the hit on Kevin Nealis.
Well, that was Walter Ballard who made that initial hit, and there really has been some great hits on the special teams tonight.
Preston Young is going to come in and play safety because the injured Toronto Argonaut is Cliff Hewitt, the young Canadian safety. And Preston Young, of course, acquired by the Argos just this week from the Montreal Concords in place of linebacker Mike Emery, who moves over to Montreal because of the injury to the Concords of Ken Cianconi.
Good trade for both clubs. Unfortunately for Cliff Hewitt, that injury, you know, he always gets your first chance to start and want to make the best of it, and he just looks like he's got a tender ankle.
Well, this, of course, is the kickoff to this week's CFL activity. There are a lot of games upcoming this weekend, and there they are. Saskatchewan is in BC tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, and then Montreal plays in Ottawa on Sunday, and they hope to jam Lansdowne Park in Ottawa for that one. Hamilton, definitely the surprise team in the Eastern Conference, will be in Calgary on Sunday. That's an extremely important game for the Tiger Cats, who have just looked simply awesome in the last 3 games. There's Preston Young in his first start since returning to the Argos. He was here a few years ago, of course. Sean Keogh on the screen pass, and Keogh gets out to the 40-yard line where Preston Young has to make his first tackle of the ball game.
Well, I'm sure with just about a minute and 10 seconds remaining in this first half, Tom Clements will definitely try and get that ball downfield in a hurry and try and cut this Toronto Argonaut lead.
It is 24-9. Toronto leading Winnipeg with a minute 10 left to play in the half. This is Willard Reeves, and on the draw, Reeves was able to jump by the initial tackle at the line of scrimmage and get to the 49-yard line, where David Marshall, 73, and Darrell Wilson, 13, combine on the tackle, but not before Reeves picks up a healthy 8 yards.
There isn't any doubt that Ricky Turner has been the star of this first half, and we'll have him on the right at halftime for a short interview, Pat.
Thank you, Bill. They blow the whistle. Let's just see what it was here.
I see you, Curry.
May well be that the whistle hadn't blown to begun the play when Mark Moores snapped the ball back to Tom Clements. It's second down, 2 to go, Winnipeg at their 48-yard line. Again, this is Willard Reeves. He has a first down into Toronto territory at the 53-yard line. And there are still 53 seconds left to play in the first half. This is the thing about the Blue Bombers. They can come back so quickly. And as Leaf alluded to, it certainly sets the stage for a great second half. Clements' pass is knocked away on an outstanding defensive play by Marcellus Green. Jeff Boyd was getting set to make the reception, and at the last moment, Marcellus Green got his hand in there.
Tom Clements may be just a little bit late in releasing this football, and that allowed Marcellus Green the reaction time to get over and make the great defensive play to knock that ball away.
Marcellus Green had been with the Argos in 1983 when they won the Grey Cup. He left to join the Los Angeles Rams and ended up playing with the Minnesota Vikings last season. It's second down and 10 to go. Winnipeg at the Toronto 53. They fake the draw, and Clements now fires it, looking for Jeff Boyd possibly, or maybe Joe Poplawski beyond him, but the ball just falls harmlessly to the ground.
Well, he had to be looking for Jeff Boyd because Poplawski was clearing out on that play, and Jeff Boyd just simply let up on the pattern.
So Bob Cameron and the punting unit of the Blue Bombers comes onto the field now with 41 seconds left in this second quarter. Again, Jan Carinci is the only one back for the Argos. Funny, on a situation like this, I'd have 2 men back. But then again, I'm not coaching, and that's why they don't listen to me.
When did you quit?
Carinci from his 3-yard line. It's over the 10 and very close to the 15 or 16-yard line is where they're going to spot it. So with just 31 seconds left to play in a surprising first half, I wonder if the Argos will play it cozy now and just run the clock out and go to the locker room very happy and delighted with this 15-point lead.
Well, Pat, they should, and you know, as you and I talked earlier, when you're playing the good teams, you've got to play error-free football. They've done that in the first half. You got 31 seconds left. Don't do anything fancy and take yourself into the locker room with that nice 24-9 lead.
The handoff goes to Kevin Lowe. And he was tripped up by Ty Jones, number 35, the linebacker, who drops him inside the 15 at about the 14-yard line for a loss. Clock is running, and it's inside 20 seconds now. Again, this is Lowe, and Lowe zigs and zags his way out to the 25-yard line, which will leave him short of the first down, but the Argos are quite content to run the clock here. Just 2 seconds left. Ricky Turner can take the pass from center, go down on one knee, and that will be the end of the first half.
Unless Winnipeg decides to call a timeout, which they don't.
So this will do it. Turner does fall down as the first half comes to an end. If you've just joined us, you won't believe the score, I'm sure. The Toronto Argonauts 24, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 9. The Argos have played their best game in the last 2 months by far to this point in this football game. The Blue Bombers, of course, in a tie with BC at this point in the Western Conference standings. Bill?
Here's the young man who has dazzled the Toronto fans with his play in this first half. Ricky, you did not have a good start against Hamilton. It's been a complete turnabout here. What have you been doing?
Well, basically, I've just been trying to remain in the confines of my reads and not make stupid mistakes. For example, throwing in the coverage. Take the sack, throw the ball out of bounds, or just run the ball with it. I think that's been a vast difference.
How about the end-arounds you called in this play? They seem to work extremely well in this half.
Well, I can't take any credit upon that. I think it's the offensive line and good play calling upon the coaching staff.
In other words, you had a very good game plan going into this.
Exactly.
All right. In the last game, you were throwing into coverage that you really didn't understand. This time, if you don't understand it, I gather that you're eating the ball or you're running with it, right?
Exactly, Bill. And then again, I'm young and I'm inexperienced, and I think that's going to take time for me to develop and mature. And I just hope I continue to do so. And Coach Abilovich has showed a lot of patience and interest in me. I'm real happy upon that.
Did Coach Abilovich say anything to you after you ran head first into one of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and almost racked yourself up?
Well, that was an aim on my part, but I told myself I'm going to come in here, I'm going to play reckless abandon, but play intelligent and do whatever I can to get the ball in the end zone and make sure that we win the ball game.
So you're not going to worry about hurting yourself. If there are a few extra yards, you're going to go for it.
Well, I'm going to play a little bit more intelligent next time. I think I go out of bounds or sit my butt down.
Ricky, it was a great first half. Good luck.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. Ricky Turner has come in and done quite a job for the Toronto Argonauts in the first half. An underrated club as they came in. And so, with the score, the Toronto Argonauts leading right now by the score of 24-9 over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. This is CTV's Friday Night Football.
This is Carling O'Keefe Sports, the CFL this week. Good evening, everybody. Time is running out in the 1985 regular season. The playoffs are fast approaching, and as teams jockey for position for postseason play, there was a 6-player deal this week. Ottawa and Saskatchewan swapping 3 players each. The Western Riders trying to change not so much the talent, but the team's attitude.
We got a lot of guys, I suppose, and I've seen this from teaching in the state of Nevada. A lot of people come down there gambling. They say, well, I only brought $400 with me. That's all I can afford to lose. In other words, they had the losing thing in their system already. They're not going to be winners. So we have to continue to strive for those guys that you can't accept defeat. In other words, had we lost that game to Winnipeg by 3 points or a touchdown, I'd still feel the same way. That losing is the thing that we have to overcome. It's not whether 1 point or 30 points or whatever. It's losing that we have to avoid, and we have to have that caliber of athlete.
Meanwhile, the surprise in Ottawa was that the Eastern Riders let Derek Zeno go, an exciting young punt returner and receiver, but recently out of favor with coach Joe Moss.
Lately, he seems to have tailed off somewhat for whatever reason. I don't know, but we felt that for the people that they offered, we had to have someone that was really acceptable to them, and Zeno was a guy that they were high on, and so we thought, well, let's go ahead and do it.
Upcoming games in the Canadian Football League tomorrow, Saskatchewan at BC. Sunday, Montreal visits Ottawa to meet those rebuilt Rough Riders. Hamilton at Calgary also on Sunday. Next week's Friday Nighter on CTV, Calgary at Saskatchewan. This has been Carling O'Keefe Sports, the CFL This Week. The Pacific Western Airlines Stars of the Week are next. This is CTV's Friday Night Football.
Sunday, CTV's Blue Jays baseball follows the Jays to Milwaukee's County Stadium, home of the Brewers. Don't miss what promises to be a terrific afternoon of ball here on CTV.
Defensive star Paul Bennett of Hamilton had one interception, a fumble recovery, and a key pass block to lead the Tiger Cats in a big win over Ottawa. While lineman star James Zachary was a major factor in Edmonton's 17-6 win over Calgary, contributing 2 sacks and 5 tackles. Pacific Western Airlines brings you the Stars of the Week in the CFL. Tonight, CTV Profile looks at offensive star Jeff Boyd of Winnipeg. An integral part of an awesome Blue Bomber attack, number 70 caught 10 passes and scored 2 touchdowns in Winnipeg's 7th consecutive win, 9th of the season.
When Jeff Boyd first came to the Bombers, I knew right away that he was going to be a star in this league. I've seen him a number of times just go up over DBs and just come down with the football. And I just look across the field and say, wow, how did he do that?
He's got great speed, and I think his peripheral vision is really good. He seems to see people coming from every which way. Goes up after the ball, and any ball that's thrown his way is like always caught. He's always going to catch the ball.
Football and receiving the ball has a lot to do with balance. So basically, I'm trying to be in good balance and good coordination and get the defensive back off balance. Most people seem to think that a pro football player plays for 7, 10, 12 years, but most careers are short-lived, and I'm trying to plan for a career after football right now. And I think trying to get a stable home life is one of the first things, and I have been offered a job up here in the Winnipeg area, but I would like to start it really in Los Angeles, California. I have quite a few influential friends in the computer business, so hopefully I'll be in the Los Angeles area in the off-season starting the computer business.
What makes this guy so great or so special is he has the ability to really concentrate. He's a math teacher in the off-season, and he just concentrates really well on what he has to do. He studies his opponents inside out.
My goal has always been to, I guess, be the best at what I do, running routes, whether it be short or deep. And I think it's helped me over the years because now I am fairly effective going short and going deep, whereas most receivers are one-dimensional.
Coupled with James Murphy, fellow wide receiver, teammate, and friend, number 70 presents a potent threat to every defense in the league as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers threaten to repeat as Grey Cup champions. This Stars of the Week profile has been brought to you by Pacific Western Airlines, which also brings you the Grey Cup 100 contest. This is CTV's Friday Night Football.
Send $10.95 for album or $12.95 for cassette plus $2 shipping and handling to Petula Clark, Post Office Box 7308, Station D, Victoria, BC. That number again, 478-1913 in Victoria.
Hi, I'm John Bonk of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Like professional athletes, the athletes involved in Special Olympics train throughout the year so that they can properly condition themselves prior to competition. Show us your support and contact the local Special Olympics chapter in your community.
This message brought to you by the Canadian Football League.
10 yards as we look at the halftime Chevrolet statistical story. It is 273 yards for Toronto as we get set now for the kickoff in this second half. And the Argos will be receiving with Jeff Townsend standing inside his 10-yard line to return it for the Argonauts. Trevor Kennard hits a line drive. That is bobbled by Kevin Lowe. Lowe is back inside his end zone. And he may have made a mistake there. He might have been better advised to just keep the ball in the end zone, give up the single point. But no, he comes out to the 5, and that's where the Argos will start. Bill?
Well, football fans, I know you all like to guess on the All-Star team by the Football Reporters of Canada. We pick them every year. This year, we're going to give you a chance to participate and see if you can pick the way that the All-Star reporters do. Find out how the All-Star team goes, and you match the Football Reporters of Canada selection for the 85 CFL All-Star team. Win by participating in the Allied Van Lines Match and Win. The contest ballots will be distributed at specified home games in each CFL city.
Thank you, Bill. Ricky Turner, in a lot of trouble, was able to evade the first tackle, but then Tyrone Jones wrapped him up as he crossed the 5-yard line and got to about the 8. So he'll pick up about 3 yards on the play. But really, the big mistake was made by Kevin Lowe, because when the ball was bobbled in the field of play, he may as well have given up the single point and moved Toronto out to some half-decent field position at the 35-yard line. Instead, the Blue Bombers, with the best defense in the CFL, have Toronto pinned in now at their 8. Ricky Turner on the draw, but it was snuffed out very neatly as Stan Mikowas just wouldn't give up his territory, and he was there to bring him down.
Pat, I should mention that for the Football Reporters of Canada All-Stars and the ones that the fans will try to select and participate in it, you can pick up your ballots at the Allied Van Lines offices in your area after October the 14th, as well as getting them at a specified home game in each CFL city.
Well, it's a fun exercise for everybody involved, so make sure that you do pick up your ballot, and why not give it a shot at winning it?
Well, Bill and Pat, as you know, Cal Murphy, like we all know Cal Murphy, I'm sure at halftime he had a few choice words for his Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and hopefully you're going to see a different team here in the second half.
Hank Olisic with a good punt that Kevin Nealis fields at the 53. He's back in Winnipeg territory now. But he's got such good speed that he was able to get to the outside a little bit before Jan Carinci brings him down at the Toronto 46-yard line. But the Bombers have excellent field position to start this second half. It was a 43-yard boot, a 7-yard return, as you take a look at Kevin Nealis.
Well, they do their best to set that picket line or wall to the wide side of the field. They get a couple of good blocks, but a great effort by 27 Jan Carinci to come in and stop that play.
It was only the speed of Kevin Nealis that allowed him to get away from Carl Brazeley, who was coming from his backside and would have actually been able to drop him in Winnipeg territory. But Nealis got to the outside, gets the ball into the Toronto 46-yard line as an injured Argonaut is being attended to by trainer Freddie Dunbar.
And, of course, sorry, Pat, Kevin Nealis gets to stay in the ball game due to that injury to Jerome Erdman in the first half.
The word on Jerome Erdman is that he will not play in this half. He can run straight ahead, but he can't cut. So the ankle, it's a sprain, and he will not play in this half.
There's Dan Rasevich leaving the field of play, and he's obviously all right. Winnipeg at home to BC. That game is a complete sellout, and it'll be such a big one for both those clubs currently tied on top of the Western Conference standings, and we'll have it for you here on CTV a week from Sunday. Clemens' pass was intended for Willard Reeves, but no good. Tommy was extremely sharp in the first quarter, has not been as effective from that point on. 12 out of 20 right now. At one time, he was 9 out of 11.
Well, he really had the team on a roll early in the first quarter, but, you know, the Toronto Argonauts did an excellent job ball control-wise in that first half. Ricky Turner with his running and, of course, throwing to Terry Greer really were able to control that football in the first half, and Tom Clements didn't have it for a long time.
Rasevich is back in the ball game playing that middle linebacking spot as Clements with a lot of time floats it out, intending it for Willard Reeves, but Don Moan got his hand up there to deflect the ball away. So Rasevich is in there, and David Marshall, the newcomer, is out of that middle linebacking spot.
Well, Don Moan just makes a great play. Tom Clements just tries to feather the ball over his head and into Willard Reeves, but the big arm goes up and the ball knocked down. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers have to give it up. Well, Toronto's defense has done a job here. They have really played well. Got just enough pressure and made some excellent plays in that secondary.
Bob Cameron's punt will get to the Toronto end zone, and Jan Carinci is going to give up the single point. Going to waste as much time as possible before stepping out with Scott Flagel right on him. So the score now with 12 minutes and 17 seconds left to play in this third quarter is Toronto 24, Winnipeg 10, and we'll be back in just a moment. Not allowing Winnipeg to get any closer than they were, because on the fine punt return by Kevin Nealis, Winnipeg had possession at the Toronto 46-yard line, and after 2 incomplete passes, the Argos escaped by just giving up a single point. So it's a 24-10 ball game. Argos in front by 2 converted touchdowns as they begin at their 35-yard line with Ricky Turner at quarterback, and he was sensational in that first half. Inside to Kerry Taylor for the first time that he's had his hands on the football on a running play other than that end around that they tried early in the first quarter, and he picks up 5 yards to the 40.
David Marshall is out of the game, as you have stated, Pat, but the problem is a knee injury. We don't know how serious it is, but it's apparent that he won't be back in this ball game. He's going to stay out.
And that's why it was important that Dan Rastovich wasn't shaken up too badly, as he was not. He has returned after making a tackle on a previous punt. 2nd down and 5. Turner looks around, didn't see anybody open, pulls it down, and only picks up about a yard or 2. So Hank Olisic will be punting again as Stan Mikolas and Tyrone Jones, 75 and 35, combined to bring down the Toronto quarterback.
Now, Pat, he did the right thing, though. Don't throw that thing up at this stage of the game and take a chance of an interception. You've got great field position. You're at your own 42-yard line. You've got a guy who's got one of the strongest legs in the CFL. Just swallow your pride, take the sack, and punt it away.
And that's what he was telling Bill Stevenson at halftime, that he thinks that he's learned from his previous mistakes. He will not throw the ball away when he doesn't know exactly what's going to happen to him. And Hank shanks this one as it bounces out of bounds at the Winnipeg 47.5-yard line. There was a lot of pressure.
Well, I said Hank had one of the strongest legs. I didn't say he was the best punter in the league, but the pressure was coming up the middle and really shanked that. There you see Ricky Turner attacking with Bob Babilovich.
Just a 22-yard punt as we show you again our poll for tonight. Should the CFL allow referees access to TV replays? There are the numbers to call, and there is a 50-cent service charge.
I'm going to be interested to see how the fans feel about this one.
This is Willard Reeves, and Reeves is bottled up as he crosses the 50 to about the 51-yard line. Walter Ballard, number 79, one of those there, along with Gary Doolin, and James Curry was there too, number 74.
A couple of changes in that Toronto Argonaut defense. One we have told you about, Dan Rastovich in at middle linebacker in place of David Marshall. Preston Young, too, who was just acquired from the Montreal Concords, is in at the middle safety spot due to the injury to the rookie Cliff Hewitt.
Willard Reeves has gone over the 1,000-yard rushing mark tonight as Walter Ballard jumps offside. This is a free one for the Bombers. Sean Keogh gets into Toronto territory at the 54-yard line. It'll come back because the Argos were offside and the Blue Bombers do not have the first down.
Pat, I asked Darrell Patterson on that bad punt that was made by the Argos, Hank Olisic. I said, what'd you do there? He said, oh, we did. We just scared him.
Well, that's the first penalty against the Toronto Argonauts, and it'll be a 5-yarder for offside by Walter Ballard, 79.
Offside. Toronto 79. 2nd down repeated.
So with the ball at the 54, it means that it is 2nd and 2, Blue Bombers at that point. Boy, this game has gone fast. I guess when it's well played, that's normally the way you feel. But the Bombers needing to get going offensively. The handoff goes to Willard Reeves, and he fights his way for the first down very close to the Toronto 50-yard line. Dan Rastovich, the middle linebacker, one of those in there, along with Darrell Wilson, number 13.
Well, the Bombers trailing by 2 converted touchdowns, and not a great margin for them to make up at any time. They still have 9 minutes and 34 seconds remaining in the third quarter.
Well, in 9 minutes, they could score 3 touchdowns easily. They'd like to get one right now on this drive, however, to get back into this football game. First down, Bombers. Clemens fires. It is complete to Sean Keogh, has the first down, and is into the Toronto 36-yard line before William Mitchell, the linebacker on that side, is there to bring him down, along with Carl Braisley, the cornerback. A gain of 15 yards on the pass from Clemens to Keogh.
And a favorite play of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, that play action and let that back sneak out of the backfield. You get the good matchup. Sean Kehoe on William Mitchell. That play action just freezes Bill Mitchell long enough. Kehoe gets out behind him.
First down, Winnipeg at the Toronto 37. Clemens throws. The catch is made by Joe Poplawski at the Toronto 21-yard line. It's another Winnipeg first down as he makes the catch in front of Dennis Clay. The pickup is 16 yards.
Dennis Clay gambles on this play, tries to come underneath, and Tom Clemens threw it perfectly outside. And Joe Poplawski's had himself a pretty good game. I'll just check with statistician Bobby Layden for his numbers.
5 catches, 93 yards. Another first down for the Bombers at the Toronto 21. On the draw, Willard Reeves is hit in the hole by Don Moan, and that was enough to knock him off balance momentarily, and that allowed the other people to come in, Walter Ballard, Rodney Harding, and Preston Young, to drop him after a pickup of about 4. Ball is just inside the 17-yard line. 8 minutes, 5 seconds left to play in the third quarter. Toronto 24, Winnipeg 10. Bombers on the move. Clemens' pass knocked away, intended for Joe Poplawski. Dennis Clay, number 14, was able to get a hand in there.
And Pat, he really made an outstanding defensive play there because Joe Poplawski was riding him downfield, and once again, a little push-off. We're going to get a good look at it here. Pushed off, and Dennis Clay cuts underneath and gets out to knock that ball away. That's just a super, super play. Well, defensively, you know, they've given up some yardage, but really at critical times, they've really hung in.
So Trevor Kennard will now try a 19-yard field goal, puts it up, and it's good. And the Blue Bombers have narrowed the gap now to just 11 points with an awful lot of time left in this ball game. 7:37 left to play in the third quarter. Argos leading Winnipeg 24-13. We'll be back in a moment.
Sponsored by Miller Lite, the Argonaut football
stadium. So the Argos are going to have Trevor Kennard kick off from his 35-yard line. Argonauts 24, Blue Bombers 13, 7 minutes, 37 seconds left to play in the third quarter of what should turn into be a barn burner.
It's a great night, perfect night to play football, too.
And a great night to watch it. Ball bounces down, bounces off Townsend to Kerry Taylor. And Taylor picks it up and gets to about the 34-yard line. Argos would have been just as well off to take it at the 35. Vernon Paul, number 74, was down to make the stop. Not a whole lot of folks here tonight. I don't know what the attendance will be announced, I would think, at 29,000 plus. But there are a lot of no-shows on a beautiful night.
Well, the ones that are here are smiling because they've been entertained thoroughly by the Toronto Argonauts for 2.5 quarters of football.
But now it's incumbent on this Argonaut offense to get a move on because Winnipeg is starting to come on. You can feel it. Turner's pass, no good, looking for Kerry Taylor. Bombers have scored 4 points in this half. Argos have yet to pick up a first down.
This Winnipeg club is hungry to grab a win here because they're trying to match a win record. They've had 7 this year, as you pointed out. That's a repeat of their win streak in '84. But in the past, they've had 7 wins in '62, and then they had 8 in 1961 and 11 back in the '59-60 year.
The pass is picked off by Tyrone Jones, and Winnipeg will have possession at the Toronto 43-yard line. Tyrone Jones gives the Winnipeg Blue Bombers the kind of field position they wanted to get right back in this football game.
Well, what you don't want to do against a really good football team is throw those interceptions looking for foul. Pearson down the middle. Quite simply, Ricky Turner, I don't think, saw Tyrone Jones sneaking over from his linebacking spot, but you don't want to give the Bombers these opportunities, and they have a great one at the Toronto 43.5-yard line.
The first interception of the ball game for the Blue Bombers as Tom Clements and the offense now can really close the gap. Clements' pass is caught by Sean Kehoe. He breaks the initial tackle, gets inside the 40 to about the 38-yard line. Dan Rasevich brings him down at that point.
What a great job he did to get away from the initial tackle, who I believe was Bill Mitchell. Pick up an extra few yards.
Sean Kehoe from the University of Alberta. Last year's outstanding Canadian player in the Grey Cup game. Picks up 6 yards on the play. It is 2nd and 4. Clemens' pass is caught by Kevin Nealis. And Nealis is dropped at the Toronto 22-yard line by Darrell Wilson. It's another Winnipeg first down. Pickup of 17 yards.
That's a great pattern by the Blue Bombers. 3 men to the wide side of the field, 1 long, 1 middle, and 1 short. Tommy Clemens picked out the middle guy. He was open, and Kevin Nealis getting an opportunity to play here in the second half. Makes the best of it with a nice catch.
First down, Bombers at the Toronto 21.5-yard line. Pass is caught by Sean Keogh. Good move. As the flag comes down, Keogh is dropped at the 10-yard line. There are 2 penalty markers on the field. They have a procedure call against the Blue Bombers initially. Let's see what the second flag's about.
We'll have to wait and see. I'm sure Jeff Boyd initially jumped the count, and Joe Poplawski was really upset about something. It appeared as though something might be called against him, and I suspect it's a clip.
There are 2 penalties against the Blue Bombers, 1 for offside, 1 for clipping. Referee Lauren Woods is going to pace off the yardage. And then he'll give us the calls.
Offside, Winnipeg, declined, clip, Winnipeg 71. First down repeated.
So the first down will be repeated at the Toronto 36-yard line. Bombers have to get to the 11 for a first down. So it's 1st and 25. Clemens is dropped by Walter Ballard, number 79, who simply wouldn't give up the pursuit. Clemens tried to get him turned around, but Ballard just hung in there and makes the sack back at the Toronto 47-yard line.
What a big sack that is. They had given up the interception, and now the defense has taken over. Tom Clemens just kind of zigged when he should have zagged there and ran right back into the traffic of Walter Ballard.
That's the 3rd sack of Tom Clemens tonight by that Toronto Argonaut defense. The 3rd for a total of 35 yards. The ball is back at the Toronto 47. So it'll be 2nd down, 36 yards to go for the first down. Toronto jumps offside.
He should throw it deep. Throw it deep.
He couldn't find anybody open to throw it deep to. And Clemens gets inside the 40 to about the 37.5-yard line as Dan Rasovich forced him out at that point.
Well, I was suggesting throw it deep. You're right, Pat. He did not have anybody, but when you get a free one and you're 2nd and 36, you might as well let it fly. How many times has Winnipeg been 2nd and 36 this year, do you think?
Well, here's something that's happened frequently this year. The Toronto Blue Jays are out in front. At the bottom of the 3rd inning, they lead the Milwaukee Brewers 1-0.
Offside, Toronto 74. 2nd down repeated.
James Curry was offside. The Blue Bombers accept the 5-yard penalty, so the ball is moved to the Toronto 42. It'll be 2nd and 31.
What's the magic number for the Jays now?
6. Any combination of Toronto wins and New York Yankee losses totaling 6 gives Toronto the American League East pennant. Clemens pass for James Hood. He makes the reception at the 25-yard line, then is wrapped up at that point by Carl Brazeley. So the Bombers will be well short of the first down. Despite picking up 13 yards, we will see Trevor Kennard.
Well, that's a key play, though, because they were definitely out of Trevor Kennard field goal range on that 2nd and long attempt, but a 13-yard pickup by James Hood is going to put Trevor Kennard in an excellent position to get 3 points.
The amazing thing to me is that the Blue Bombers, the highest scoring team in the CFL, have but 1 touchdown tonight. As Kennard's field goal try is wide. Once again, that's his 3rd miss of this ball game. And the Argos give up a single point gladly. The score now, the Toronto Argonauts 24, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 15, and we'll be back in just a moment. For Winnipeg 14, the difference is 10 points.
And the girls have something to cheer about this week here at Exhibition Stadium. The Argonauts leading the ball game, of course.
Argos will start from their 35-yard line after conceding the single point. Greg Holmes is into the ball game, number 71, replacing Jeff Townsend. As Turner gets the screen away to Kevin Lowe, he got caught up in the traffic and was never able to get away from Darrell Patterson, the linebacker.
The difference in this game, Pat, as you pointed out, has been the inability of Winnipeg when they've had their opportunities to go in and score, number one. And the other one, it would only be a 3-point difference if Trevor Kennard, normally very sharp on the field goals and dependable, had not been missing those.
Well, you talk about active linebackers. Darrell Patterson coming on a blitz, turns around and comes back to haul Kevin Lowe down on the screen.
Graduate of Texas Christian University, Darrell Patterson makes the big play. The Argos are held to a 2-yard gain. It's 2nd and 8. Turner fires it over the middle. The pass is caught by Paul Pearson, but short of the first down at the 44-yard line. Wiley Turner made the tackle for the Blue Bombers. Fans want them to go for it at this point, but Bob Obilovich says we're punting. They're a full yard short of the first down.
Now he's counting on Hank getting a better kick this time, though.
He's certainly hoping that he doesn't get a 22-yarder away as he did his previous attempt.
You can bet Patterson and the rest will be in there, as he said before, to try and scare him.
You know, they'll be yelling at him from the line of scrimmage.
Yeah,
I know the way it works. They're going to be screaming and yelling at him, trying to drive him crazy.
Glenn Steele and Kevin Nealis are back to return this punt. And this is a much better one. This is a fine boot by Alyssa. This is Glenn Steele, fumbles the football. Who's got it? Blue Bomber football at their 20-yard line. Glenn Steele with his first return of the night, and we know how effective he is. But he and Kevin Nealis got too close together. The ball bounced off him, but he was able to get it back. Good recovery by Glenn Steele because there were an awful lot of Argos there.
Boy, it sure was, and what a big break that would have been for the Argonauts. Nevertheless, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers do take over. Kind of a slow third quarter here. Excellent first half, and now in the third quarter, the Toronto Argonauts have not been able to move the football, and Winnipeg sparingly.
A minute 45 left to play. Willard Reeves picks up 5 yards as he gets to the 25. Walter Ballard and James Curry are there to make the stop.
Well, Willard Reeves having an excellent year, over the 1,000 mark in this game, and
over the 100-yard mark for this particular ball game. 101 yards rushing now, and over the 1,000 on the season. On 2nd and 5, this is Reeves again. He has the first down and lots more as he crosses the 35 to the 39, tripped up by Dennis Clay and then pinned by Dan Rasevich.
He's really a pretty guy to watch run that football. He's strong and powerful, got great speed. Watch him on this draw play. Good block by Mark Moores, the center, on Dan Rasevich, enough that he cannot make the tackle. Joe Poplawski working downfield as well, and when they get that running game going, boy, it's tough to stop.
First down, Bombers at their 38. Clemens fires. It's complete to Jeff Boyd, and Boyd runs into Joe Poplawski and then is dropped by Marcellus Green. But it's another first down for Winnipeg at their 53. Pickup of 19 yards.
Well, the Bombers run that hook pattern as well as anybody in the league. Both James Hood and Jeff Boyd do an excellent job of pushing off the corner, stop, and work back to the quarterback. You notice how they always catch that football in their hands, if at all possible.
Just 10 seconds left to play in the third quarter. First down, Bombers. Clemens pass caught by Jeff Boyd. Another first down into the Toronto 38-yard line. The tackle once again made by Marcellus Green.
And they really have worked on Marcellus Green, who is back in the Canadian Football League for his first game tonight. Was with the Argonauts in 1983 in their Grey Cup year, but Jeff Boyd high in the air, once another great catch in the hand.
His 7th reception of the ball game for Jeff Boyd. That gives him 53 on the season. And on the draw, Willard Reeves gets inside the 30 to the 29-yard line. He'll be short of the first down by a yard as the third quarter comes to an end with the Toronto Argonauts clinging to a 24-14 lead. We'll have the fourth quarter for you in just a moment.
Now you know what you're missing. The shooting stars of NHL hockey are on TSN. For $7.95 or less, you'll see the NHL every week. So call your participating cable company and order TSN for $7.95 or less.
That old intangible known as momentum certainly on the side of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as they come up with a 2nd and 2 to start this fourth quarter of play. The handoff goes to Pat Cantner. Cantner is wrapped up as he gets very close to the first down marker. In that third quarter of play, Toronto had only 19 yards total offense. The Bombers had 100. There's a look at our Chevrolet three-quarter statistical story. Winnipeg with 370 total yards, but they've scored only one touchdown, 292 yards for the Argonauts.
It's been a great game, though. One turnover committed by each side. Interception by Tyrone Jones here in the third quarter.
Tommy Clemens, who has been good on 18 of 28 passes tonight for 295 yards, has a first down at the Toronto 28-yard line. Again, the draw to Willard Reeves, and Reeves is brought down by William Mitchell as he crosses inside the 25 to about the 23-yard line. Gary Doolin is out of the ball game, number 61, and Mark Seal, the former Ottawa Rough Rider, is in there. Seal wears number 76. Second down, 5 yards to go, and the pass is no good. The intended receiver was James Hood, number 80. Carl Braisley providing the defensive coverage for the Argonauts.
Looked as though Tom Clements really had a double clutch that throw as big number 77, Rodney Harding, was coming in his face, and in order to get that ball either over or around him, Tommy had to kind of reload, and by that time it was too late.
So Trevor Kennard, who has tied 5 field goals tonight and made but one, is that right, Bob? We'll try another one here from the 29-yard line. And this time it's good, and it's an important field goal with 13:39 left to play, because now the Blue Bombers trail by just 7 points. It is Toronto 24, Winnipeg 17. We'll be back in a moment. Kickoff, Toronto 24, Winnipeg 17. Trevor Kennard has kicked 2 field goals tonight. As the Argos send 3 back deep, Kerry Taylor, Jeff Townsend, and Kevin Lowe. And this one bounces beyond Kerry Taylor, still hasn't picked it up, and he very alertly decides he better just fall on it, and he does that at the 25-yard line. So that's where the Argos will take over. They have not been able to move the ball in the second half.
And they sure aren't winning on these kickoffs when they elect to receive the football instead of taking it at the 35-yard line.
He's on the Toronto bench, and I'm side.
Was that a taxi cab call we heard coming through, or what was it? The fans want the Argos to get a move on. They start from their 25-yard line. Turner with the screen to Jeff Townsend. It's wrapped up very neatly by Wiley Turner, number 28, and limits the gain to about 2 yards.
David Marshall, as I told you, on the bench now, and you can see that knee injury does not look that good, and he got it banged up. He is out for the game. But this being his first game with the club, could be his last. Until they check it tomorrow, they won't know for sure, though.
And he had played very effectively in that first half for the Argos. Dan Rastovich is in that middle linebacking spot for Toronto this second half. This is Kevin Lowe. The flag comes down as Lowe does a neat job of running the football, gets over the 35 to the 36. It would be a first down depending upon this penalty marker.
Well, it's going to go against the Toronto Argonauts, but what a fabulous run that was by number 32, Kevin Lowe. You know, they told us he was a good one, and he has not disappointed us at all tonight. Caught the ball well, and Just a great run there, but all for naught.
The amazing thing about Kevin Lowe, though, after just a few practices, Bob Obilovich, the Argo head coach, said he is the best signing that we have had since...
Toronto 56, second down repeated.
He said the best signing we've had since I've been the head coach of this club. So that's saying a lot about him. He's not that fast, but he just seems to have an ability to get into the open and make the big play.
Ian Beckstead, the offensive center, was called for holding, so it's second down, Toronto. Turner was able to evade the horse collar of Scott Flagel as he crossed the 25 to the 27, but that's just back to, 2 yards beyond the original line of scrimmage. James West and Ken Haley, 58 and 24, were there to bring him down.
Well, watch the horse collar there. He's lucky he didn't get called for face masking, but they sure give Ricky Turner a rough ride on the way to the turf there. And once again, the Argonauts are stalled here in the fourth quarter, and they will have to give up the football. Winnipeg only trailing by 7 points, but you just get the feeling that the game has really shifted around in their favor.
Well, there's no question about that as Hank Olisic stands ready to punt. Gets it away. It's a high punt. It's not particularly deep. Kevin Nealis takes it at his 43-yard line and is wrapped up at the 45. So the cover team certainly did its job. Bob Bronk not too happy because he felt that somebody clipped him. It may have been Stan Mikolas. A 42-yard boot, only a 3-yard return. And we remind you that next Friday night, the CFL on CTV Friday Night Football will come to you from Taylor Field in Regina, where the Calgary Stampeders will be the visitors. Anxious to see how the Rough Riders play in BC this weekend. And I'm sure their fans are, too, because they tell me there's a little bit of unrest with the fans around Regina and the province of Saskatchewan. Clemens' pass is caught by Jeff Boyd for a Winnipeg first down in Toronto territory at the 48-yard line in front of Marcellus Green.
You're talking about a lot of action on one play. Fake that wide receiver reverse to James Hood, and Tom Clemens keeps the ball, rolls out, and hits Jeff Boyd with the pass.
A 16-yard pickup as Jeff Boyd gathers in his 8th pass of the ball game for 135 yards.
You know, this Toronto Argonaut defense has played extremely well tonight, but they can't be on the field in the entire second half and expect to function well.
The handoff goes to Sean Keogh, and Keogh picks up a couple of tough yards as he gets very close to the Toronto 45. William Mitchell, 39, and Rodney Harding, the defensive end, 77, combine on the tackle.
Big Chris Walby limping back to the huddle, but Bob Obilovich on the sidelines with Ricky Turner, and it's as simple as this. They know it. They've got to move this ball a little bit in this fourth quarter if they want to try and hang on to this game.
Kevin Nealis is out of there. Glenn Steele is in. On second down, 8 yards to go, Winnipeg, and Clemens is sacked by Rodney Harding, number 77. I don't think Tommy ever saw the big defensive end from Oklahoma State University who drops them on a big play for Toronto at their 53-yard line.
Well, as he wheeled out of that pocket, he had no chance. Rodney Harding comes up with his 7th sack of this 1985 season, and once again, the fans at Exhibition Stadium very appreciative of the efforts of their defense tonight.
That's the 4th sack of Tom Clemens tonight by that Toronto defensive unit.
Walter Ballard with 1, James Curry with 2, and now the sack by Rodney Harding.
Carinci gathers this one in at his 8-yard line, and he was able to get away from the first downfield tackle. I believe it was Scott Flagel. He sidestepped him, but the Argos are going to be in a real hole when we come back. They lead the ball game 24-17 with 10:19 left to play in the game. Our poll tonight, should the CFL allow the referees access to TV replays? There are the numbers to call if you feel they should. 1-900-720-3720. No, 1-900-720-4720. There is a 50-cent service charge. Toronto really has to move the football now. They lead by 7 points. They have a first down at their 11-yard line with 10 minutes left to play in the ball game. This is Kevin Lowe. Lowe did a pretty good job to get by Wiley Turner, but then the pursuit caught up with him. Tyrone Jones was there to make the tackle.
Well, he sure did a lot of running to pick up 1 yard. That's kind of tough. The Winnipeg defense knows that Toronto really does not want to put the ball up in the air at this point. They really have to now on second down, but easy spot on the field to play defense.
Boy, let's credit that Winnipeg defense. Toronto hasn't picked up a first down in this second half. 2nd and 9 from their 12-yard line. Tyrone Jones was blitzing, was picked up neatly. The pass is caught by Jeff Townsend at the 26-yard line. Well, they rule he was out of bounds.
Well, he made a great catch, nevertheless, and that was a super throw by Ricky Turner. Let's have a look now. 1 foot has to be in bounds. No, that's a great call. Foot right on the white line. Excellent call by the officials. Toronto Argonauts.
Spot where you didn't need the TV replay.
Was that the cab coming through again? So on 3rd down and 9 yards to go, Hank Olisic stands in his end zone to punt. This is high, not too deep. Kevin Nealis at his own 54. And gets it into the Toronto 50-yard line, where once again Tom Clements and that Winnipeg offense is going to have terrific field position. Steve Delcole was down to make the tackle on that 45-yard punt by Hank Olisic and the 7-yard return by Kevin Nealis. 8:52 left to play in the ball game. Toronto leading it by a converted touchdown. Ball right at the Toronto 50. There you see the numbers on Tom Clements tonight. Take the draw and then fire it out there to Sean Keogh. And Keogh was cut down on a good tackle by Marcellus Green, short of the first down at the 42-yard line.
Nevertheless, that is an excellent call on first down. Once again, play action back out of the backfield. Extremely difficult to cover on first down because you've got to respect Willard Reeves on that run, and then they sneak Sean Keogh out into the flat.
So it brings up 2nd down, 2 yards to go. Winnipeg at the Toronto 42. Willard Reeves, the ball carrier, dances through, has the first down, and lots more inside the Toronto 35 to about the 33-yard line before Rasevich 35 and Darrell Wilson 13 combined to bring him down.
He's not only a powerful runner, but a very quick, got the quick feet as he just stepped around James Curry there and picked up about 6 more.
And he hits the hole so quickly, too. Then he can get those quick feet moving, as he did on that occasion. Pass is complete to Joe Poplawski, and he's ridden down by Darrell Wilson. Poplawski takes in his 6th pass of the ball game for a total of 99 yards.
Just a routine night for Joe. 6 catches, 99 yards. A couple of big ones early in the ball game. They were not able to capitalize on those, but Tommy Clements getting some great production now on his first down plays. At least 5, 6, 7 yards every time on first down.
Poplawski has 57 catches on the year now. Jeff Boyd with 8 tonight has 54. There's the draw again to Willard Reeves. And Reeves does a good job of disguising that draw. He just kind of solders over, then takes the ball and explodes as he gets to the Toronto 20-yard line. Dennis Clay brings him down, but it's another Blue Bomber first down. 22 carries tonight for Willard Reeves, a total of 140 yards.
One of the reasons, sorry, Leaf, I was going to say one of the reasons that Reed feels that they're a better club this year, he says we're more poised this year than we were last year.
On first down, Clements looking to the end zone, looking for James Hood. It is picked off by Carl Braisley. The ball was slightly underthrown, and Braisley was able to go high in the air and make the interception.
Well, Tommy Clements just did not get all of this pass as the rush was coming in. Underthrown, Carl Braisley in perfect position. And what a big play that is for the Argonauts.
The 2nd interception of by the Argos tonight, the 6th of the year for Carl Braisley, as the Toronto Argonauts hang on to a 24-17 lead, and we'll be back in just a moment. Carl Braisley with his 6th interception of the season in the end zone gives Toronto possession at their 25-yard line as they cling to a 7-point lead. 6.5 minutes left to play in the ball game. Turner's pass is caught by Terry Greer at the 36-yard line. He's hit by Ken Haley, but that'll be an Argonaut first down.
You know, Pat, when Ricky Turner really sets up to throw and steps up, he's got a lot of zip on that ball for a guy who's only 165 pounds.
And the Argos being very cognizant of the fact that they've got to move the football, throw it on first down, and pick up their first down of this second half. Ball at their 36-yard line, first down, Toronto. And they saw the blitz coming, handed the ball off to Kevin Lowe. Excuse me, make that Kerry Taylor, number 20, on that little reverse. Tyrone Jones, however, made the stop. A blitz is a very effective defensive weapon against the run, too, particularly if you happen to be in the right spot.
Especially an outside linebacker on an inside trap play. You just don't have enough guys to block.
So it's 2nd and 10. Here they come again. And Turner goes deep again for Terry Greer, who tried to make a one-handed catch, very nearly did, but it was broken up by Roy Bennett and Ken Haley.
Well, it appeared as though Terry Greer had a great shot to come up with this football. Roy Bennett had his back to the play, a one-hander, and he just couldn't bring it around. Roy Bennett did a great job to screen him off at the last second when Greer did touch the football.
There's been some criticism of Terry Greer in this area. He's playing out his option, and some of the fans feel he's not giving his all. But I think really it's more a case that without Condredge Holloway in there hasn't been anybody to get the ball to Terry Greer. And it must be very frustrating when you're a Greer and you're in the open as often as he has been and the ball never gets to him.
Well, I think you're absolutely right, Bill. If you're time and time again open and nobody there to throw you the football, you really kind of get dejected and just say, well, what the heck am I doing out here? You know, I'm a waste.
It's a bad rap against him, I agree with you, Leaf.
So as Darrell Patterson leaves the football game, Vernon Paul will likely replace him. Argos will be punting on 3rd and 10, with the Bombers sending only Kevin Nealis back.
Do you think this Winnipeg offense has been a little flat?
I don't think they've been that flat, Bill. I just think they haven't been able to finish off some drives. Now, some people might say, well, that's being flat. I don't necessarily think it is. I think Toronto's made some big plays defensively at key times.
The amazing thing is that they, along with the Edmonton Eskimos, lead the league in touchdowns with 34, but the Bombers only have one major score tonight. Ankalisic gets it away, and Nealis will field it at his 35. He lets the ball bounce. It bounced off him, but he very alertly was able to dive back on top of it at his own 29-yard line. Well, again, that could have been a disaster for the Blue Bombers, trailing it by 7 points with exactly 5 minutes left to play in the ball game.
Well, the second time that's happened to them here in the second half, and that ball appeared like it was a spiral, but it just had a funny kind of rotation on it, and Kevin Nealis merely misjudged it.
So Tom Clements, who has gone all the way at the quarterback spot, has that Winnipeg offense out there at their own 30 with 4:45 left in the game now. Clements' pass is dropped by Jeff Boyd. Boyd had it bounce right off his chest.
Well, all kinds of time to throw for Tom Clements. He threw a strike, but unfortunately, Jeff Boyd, who normally is so dependable, could not hang on to the football. Boy, do you think there's a few BC Lions watching this game rooting for an upset right here?
Well, should the Blue Bombers lose, of course, and they are far from out of this one, they would have played 2 more games in BC and still be tied with them. Clemens' pass is caught this time by Joe Poplawski up at the 50-yard line. Preston Young came up to make the stop, but it's a big pickup of 21 yards on the completion from Clemens to Poplawski.
Well, Nick Volpe, our isolation director, was following Joe Poplawski that time, and nothing fancy about that, just as he has done a number of times tonight, find that open hole over the middle and make the catch.
Under 4 minutes left to play. The draw to Willard Reeves, and Reeves is grabbed by James Curry, number 74, and Dan Rasevich, 35, after a pickup of about 3 or 4 yards.
Daryl Patterson took a rap on the knee, but he says it's fine, and he'll be ready to go back in when the defense takes over again.
Clemens is 22 of 35 tonight for 346 yards. And this one is picked off by Preston Young. And the trade pays instant dividends for the Toronto Argonauts as they pick off their third pass of the ball game. The Argos will have possession at the Winnipeg 46-yard line. He just laid in the woods, stepped in front of the receiver, and Preston Young has his first interception.
Well, Jeff Boyd tries to work back to the quarterback, but Preston Young, cagey 8-year veteran from Simon Fraser, read that hook pattern all the way. They've thrown it so many times tonight, and you cannot replace experience.
Clock is running, 3:10 left in the ball game. Toronto 24, Winnipeg 17. Turner on the quarterback draw once again, and look at the hole. And he's dropped at the 26-yard line by Ken Haley. Let's make that Scott Flagel 14 and not 24.
Great call by Ricky Turner. All in motion to the wide side of the field and then run the quarterback draw. If you get through initially, you've got a lot of running room, and he found it.
So with 3 minutes left to play in the ball game, the Toronto Argonauts lead the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 24-17. We'll be back in just a moment.
Now, through the end.
Of course, he's made the big play, and Ricky Turner has just run it again and will do so once more as he gets to the Winnipeg 21-yard line for a pickup of about 5 yards. Wiley Turner, 28, and Stan Mikowas, 75, there to bring him down.
Now, you don't think Preston Young feels pretty good about that? Originally, a Toronto Argonaut, went to Hamilton, then went to Montreal. Now, full circle back with the Argonauts again, and makes what could be the biggest play of the ball game.
2:30 left to play in the ball game. Argos lead it by 7. They have 2nd and 5 as they pick up the blitz neatly. Kevin Lowe, however, runs right into the heart of the defense where Ty Jones was able to make the tackle along with Tony Norman, number 55. And I'm not sure, but I think that's the first time we've mentioned Tony Norman's name tonight.
Well, nothing fancy by Ricky Turner, and that was by directions from the sidelines. They got the 7-point lead. You're in great field goal position for their rookie kicker, Lance Chomick from the University of Toronto, and he has a chance to give them a 10-point margin here with just 2:16 remaining.
Chomick has tried 2 field goals tonight, been successful with one of them, and this try will come from the 27-yard line. And it is good. And so, with 2 minutes and 1 second left to play in the ball game, the Argos increase their lead to 10 points.
A couple of big plays in this fourth quarter. The interception by Carl Braisley, and a few plays ago, that big interception by Preston Young results in a field goal effort by Lance Chomick. The Argonauts 10 points ahead, and if they hang on to this football game, the defense deserves a lot of credit.
Tommy Clemens has now thrown 16 interceptions on the year, just 14 touchdowns, as Winnipeg now starts from their 35-yard line. And John Hufnagel is in the ball game, and his first pass is complete to Joe Poplawski, who has a first down to the Winnipeg 51-yard line. He's forced out there by Preston Young. The Blue Bombers will not huddle. Clock is stopped with 1:54 left in the ball game. First down, Winnipeg. Hufnagel throws, and they roll. The catch is made out of bounds by Jeff Boyd. That's 3 times tonight that a Bomber pass has been completed out of bounds. Twice by James Hood, and now by Jeff Boyd. Don Moen has played a very solid ball game here for the Argos tonight. He got his hands in the air, and that may have forced John Hufnagel to loft it a little more than he would have wanted to. 2nd and 10, Bombers at their 51. Hufnagel's pass is caught by Kevin Nealis at the Toronto 47-yard line. That'll be a first down Dennis Clay was on him right away, but they moved the yardsticks.
Good pressure once again by James Curry as he nailed John Hufnagel just as he threw that ball, but a good pass and catch by Hufnagel to Kevin Nealon.
1:43 and the clock is running left to play. Hufnagel's pass. What a catch by Joe Poplawski. And he is going to go all the way for the touchdown. John Hufnagel didn't see the completion of that play, but he knows that Joe Poplawski has taken it all the way for the major score. 47 yards. Hufnagel to Poplawski with 1:32 left to play.
Well, let's have a look. John Hufnagel steps up, and what a great, great catch by Joe Poplawski. Bill Mitchell and a few others collide there, and 47 yards later, Poplawski's in the end zone, and oh, what a great finish this is going to be.
Joe Poplawski now has 60 catches on the season, 9 tonight for 183 yards. The point after by Trevor Kennard is good, and we're back to a 3-point ball game with 1:32 left to play in the game. And with his 60 catches, Poplawski has really moved up because the leader with the number of catches is Craig Ellis with 72. And then after that comes Ray Algard, and then Mervyn Fernandez, and Poplawski now with 60. Well, now this is going to be really interesting. Do the Blue Bombers elect to kick it deep and then hope to hold the Argos in there? They do have a timeout, of course. What do you do here, Coach?
Well, at 1:32, I kick it deep myself, and I've got the best or one of the best defenses in the country, and I have to rely on them to stop them. I've got a timeout left, and I've got Trevor Kennard, who is usually reliable, has not had a great night tonight, but you got to go deep.
And Trevor Kennard does. From the 9-yard line, Jeff Townsend is upended on a fine downfield tackle by James West, number 58, as he contains the Toronto kickoff returner inside the 20-yard line with 1:28 left to play in the ball game.
That's a great job. Anytime you can stop a team inside their 20 on a kickoff, you've really done a super job. What a scoring drive. 4 plays and 75 yards. Sure didn't take a long time for John Hufnagel to get things going.
First down, Toronto at their 19. Turner rolls out of there. And his pass intended for Terry Greer is no good. And maybe just as well, because Wiley Turner was lurking in the weeds. And had that ball been thrown where Greer might have made the reception, Turner might well have picked it up. Bob Obilovich has seen everything go wrong this season that could go wrong. Now he's trying to hang on for the Toronto Argonauts' 4th victory of the season. If they are able to hang on, they would move into a tie with both Ottawa and Hamilton for 2nd spot in the Eastern Conference.
Safety blitz.
Oh, what a move by Wiley Turner. Or excuse me, by Ricky Turner. He gets a first down, and he did it on his own with some outstanding broken field running to the 38-yard line, a pickup of 21 yards.
Well, there's been some big plays tonight, but none bigger than this one. Safety blitz and a move right here on 75 Stan Mikowicz, another move on Frank Robinson, and gosh, this guy can run.
Well, he's picked up 115 yards running tonight. Well, a reminder, at the conclusion of this ball game, we'll have the Carling O'Keefe Game Stars. They'll receive a Royal Canadian Mint 1-ounce gold coin presented by Tilley, Canadian manufacturers of fine leather goods. The Argos don't do anything fancy, just trying to maintain possession right now with 52 seconds left.
Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will have one timeout.
Team timeout.
Which they take right now.
Winnipeg.
That comes with 52 seconds. The Argos only managed to pick up a couple of yards on that play. Toronto 27, Winnipeg 24. If the Bombers can get the ball back, They would be hopeful of at least a tie, but you got to know they'd be going to win it all because they are currently tied with the BC Lions on top of the Western Conference standings. But after tonight's game, the Bombers will have played 2 more games than BC, pending the Lions' home game against Saskatchewan this weekend.
Well, if the wind here at Exhibition Stadium has died down, I do believe it would favor Trevor Kennard slightly. Although it's pretty much coming straight across the field, but it would favor him if he had to try a last play field goal.
Time is now whistled in. Second down, Argos. 8 yards to go for the first down. And Turner just goes down back of the line of scrimmage at about the 39. Didn't want to throw the football and wanted to make sure that he wasn't going to run out of bounds, so he's well in the field of play. And the moment that referee Lauren Woods blows his whistle, time will start moving again. 46 seconds at the moment left in the ball game.
There should be 27 seconds when Hank kicks the football.
And he's waiting for it to wind down. Oh, and he gets his best punt of the night away. Kevin Nealis is chased back to his 10-yard line. Oh, boy, there was some headbutting going on down there as Nealis was dropped at the 18-yard line with 18 seconds left to play in the ball game.
Don Sturdivant just got a size block on. I couldn't see which Argonaut was the recipient of that, but that punt, outstanding punt by Hank Olisic of 62 yards, really took a lot of extra time off that clock because by the time Kevin Nealis caught it and was able to run with it, I'd say he took an extra 8 to 10 seconds off that clock.
18 seconds left to play in the game. Toronto 27, Winnipeg 24. The ball at the Winnipeg 18-yard line. The screen is set up for Sean Keogh. But Keogh ran into a lot of people, not the least of which was Dennis Clay. And then William Mitchell helped out as well, but it was Clay who was able to put his helmet in there and knock him off balance with 11 seconds left to play. Ball at the Winnipeg 25-yard line. Hufnagel's pass is caught by Jeff Boyd at the 35-yard line with 6 seconds now left.
Well, Pat, we talked about the consequences for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers tonight. They will stay in a tie with BC Lions, but the BC Lions 2 games in hand. The Toronto Argonauts, on the other hand, will move into a 3-way tie for second place with both Hamilton and Ottawa. So this was a big, big game for the Argonauts. Bombers, we know they're going to be in the playoffs. The Argonauts, on the other hand, are fighting for their lives.
Little confusion as Winnipeg gets set for what may be their final play of the ball game.
They're going to throw the Hail Mary job here.
The pass was thrown between James Hood and Joe Poplawski, but it falls to the ground incomplete as the Toronto Argonauts score a stunning upset 27-24 victory over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Toronto moves in to a second-place tie in the Eastern Conference with only their 4th victory of the year against 7 losses. The Blue Bombers pick up only their 3rd loss of the season after winning 7 in a row. So although they do stay in a tie with the BC Lions on top of the Western Conference standings, the Lions do have 2 games in hand. They'll make up one of those when they play host to the Saskatchewan Roughriders this weekend. But this comes as a major victory for the Argos and really a stunning, heartfelt loss for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And the question will be asked all week, of course, do you think the Blue Bombers were looking beyond the Argos? And it would be human nature, I think, to do so because they have back-to-back games upcoming against the BC Lions. And now it means that Winnipeg is going to have to win both those games if they want to finish on top of the Western Conference. Right now, let's go down to Bill Stevenson.
Bob Abilovich, you have had a lot of glory since you become head coach of the Toronto Argonauts. You're in your 4th season. You went to a Grey Cup. You won a Grey Cup. But this has to be one of your biggest wins because this has been such a frustrating season.
No question about it, Bill. It was such a key win for us because the way the standings are right now in the East, both Ottawa and Hamilton have lost to Winnipeg twice, and this was like a 4-point game for us, so we had to win this football game.
Well, you're now on a tie for second spot, as a matter of fact, with Hamilton and Ottawa.
Well, you know, we just had to get a win under our belt, and we've been having some problems. We have got some injuries tonight that really hurt us. We were playing well with David Marshall in the middle, and then when he went out of there, we had Danny Rasovich back in there, and I don't know if he's going to be ready, but the team did a good job of playing football the way it's got to be played, and I was proud that we bounced back, especially after our disappointing performance against Hamilton.
It seemed that you and your coaching staff had the club extremely well prepared. Obviously, the defense of Winnipeg was surprised by Ricky Turner's offense that you gave him in the first half.
I thought we played really well in offense the first half, and then the second half we just seemed to kind of lose our edge a little bit. We had a couple of penalties at the wrong time and threw a ball out of bounds, you know, caught it out of bounds. We had bad field position, but the defense hung in there big, and that's what we've been looking for all year. Our defense has had to play better, and they did it tonight against a good football team.
Now, you've always been very high on Turner. You said this in training camp. Nobody's really believed you. This is the first time everybody said, well, maybe Obi knew what he was talking about.
Well, somewhere along the line, I think people have to respect you for trying to do your job, and we felt good about Ricky all along. The thing that people don't understand is that he's a first-year player, really, and it's just unfortunate that he was hurt in the preseason when Conridge got hurt. He could have had all those games with some valuable game experience under his belt, and this win against Winnipeg is going to be a big confidence booster for Ricky, and it's going to be good for us because, you know, Conridge still has been out for a long time, and we still need another quarterback in there.
You certainly do. You know, Turner looks not unlike a young Conridge Holloway.
Well, that's what I've said all along. You guys don't listen. You're right.
Well, that's very true. The defense, though, came up very big for you. Despite the fact your offense in the second half, it was the defense because the offense, as you point out, couldn't move it.
Well, you're right. We just kind of lost it the second half, but the defense just wouldn't give them anything. We really felt pretty disappointed of that loss on Winnipeg earlier in the season. If there was ever a game that we played all season that we didn't deserve to lose, that was that one. And I think our guys remembered that, and they weren't going to give up anything tonight.
Well, Bob Abilovich, now that you've got the big win, you're on a high. You go into Ottawa, and that has to be an important game for you next week.
Well, they all are important games. Now, we just have to get a winning string going here and start doing things the right way, and hopefully we'll get the right people doing the right things. Some of our new people, Preston came up with a big interception there, and I think now we got the right ingredients. I just hope Dave Marshall's not hurt that badly.
No more changes?
I wouldn't think so.
Coach Abilovich, congratulations. It was a fine victory. Final score is Argos 27 and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 24, and we'll continue with CTV Friday Night Football in a moment.
And now, the Carling O'Keefe Sports offensive and defensive game stars as selected by our broadcast crew. From the Toronto Argonauts, quarterback Ricky Turner is the offensive star, and from the Argos, defensive tackle James Curry is the defensive star. Each of tonight's outstanding players will receive a Royal Canadian Mint 1-ounce solid gold coin presented by Kodak, makers of the new 8mm Codavision portable all-in-one camera and recorder, and by Tilly, bringing together quality and creativity in all their products. This is CTV's Friday Night Football.
Well, it would be tough to have a better debut, his second game, mind you, but let's call this his big debut because this was the winner than Ricky Turner had. He was 11 of 21, 162 yards. He ran for 114 yards. Ricky, congratulations. It was just a great performance.
Well, thank you very much. I'd just like to thank my offensive line. They played a hell of a game, and it just wasn't myself. It was everybody executing and doing what they're supposed to do, and the defense gave us a lot of opportunities.
James Curry says you're going to be a star of the future. He says you just wait and see.
Well, I think that takes a lot of hard work and listen to veterans like himself and try to learn as much as I possibly can.
Now, here comes your first pro touchdown. You were looking to pass. Who are you looking for?
Well, in that particular situation, I was looking for the running back, and I saw a little bit of congestion in the defense, so I just decided to hold the ball and run with it. If we get nothing else, at least we won't have a turnover.
You were looking for Kevin Lowe, were you?
Yes.
Yeah, and so you ran it, and you ran it beautifully. You're a great runner. Did you used to do track or anything of that nature in college?
No, nothing of the sort. I just like to improve my passing, but thank you very much on that comment.
Well, it is. You were running extremely well. That got you out of danger. As a matter of fact, maybe the key play in the entire game was the one in the final moment where you took off and ran and got that good yardage. That got you out of danger and allowed you to move the ball. Here it is. Tell us what you were thinking of at the time. Were you thinking run all the way?
Yes, I was. To be honest, in this situation, we were thinking about run, not to get the turnover unless I had Terry Greer or somebody else wide open.
Well, it was the key play, because that's the one that got you out of the tough spot deep in your own end zone and allowed you to move that ball a little bit. What did you do differently in this game now from the first game?
I think I was more patient. I didn't throw the ball into the coverage a variety of times, and I think that basically kept me on the safe side and basically kept me in the ball game and kept our team in the ball game, and the defense did one heck of a job.
Ricky Turner, congratulations.
Thank
Fine
you very
job.
much.
Ricky Turner, our offensive star of the game, a game won by the Toronto Argonauts 27-24. We'll be back with more Friday Night Football in a moment.
Thank you.
Defensive star James Curry had 2 sacks, but I think even more important, James, you kept the pressure on throughout, and that was the big key because you had that offense of Winnipeg under control.
That's something we have been doing here in the past, Bill, is keeping consistent pressure on the quarterback. And with our backs being to the wall such as they are, we haven't played this way in the past. And we're going to have to be aggressive from now on out, to the end of the season on defense. And hope that our offense, be a little more productive like they were tonight and keep us off the field. And I feel we can beat the teams that we have coming up.
Now, you were calling the signals, as you do on that defense. What were you doing against their offense?
Well, it was just a motivating thing. The defensive line got together this week, and we decided, that we had to win the game ourselves. We've been letting things get past us. And, we make calls. I have somewhat leeway since I'm the senior guy on the D-line now. The coaches give me that leeway, and the players are starting to come along, as a unit. We have Doolin we picked up now, and Gary's a great player in his own right, and he's helped us out a lot this week.
And I know you banged up the shoulder. I hope it'll be all right for Ottawa.
That's just part of the game. Everything will be all right for Ottawa. We're looking forward to them. We have to have that victory next week and, just keep our playoff drive alive.
All right. Congratulations, James Curry.
Bill. Appreciate it.
Defensive player of the game. Now let's go upstairs to Pat and Leaf.
Well, thank you, Bill. Let me just make this one comment. I thought the Toronto Argonaut offensive line played an outstanding ball game.
Well, Pat, they did a great job, and they only gave up 1 sack. Winnipeg was leading the league, sacking the quarterback coming into this game, so that was definitely a big key in Toronto's win.
Well, you see the Chevrolet 60-minute statistical story, 538 yards for Winnipeg, but they only scored 1 touchdown as the Argos beat them 27-24. We want to remind you, of course, that the Winnipeg Blue Bomber game against BC is all sold out in Winnipeg. We'll have that one for you a week from Sunday as they go for first place. Still in a tie, remember, despite the fact they lost tonight. And, of course, next Friday night, we'll have CFL football for you here on CTV. Check your local listings as Calgary plays in Taylor Field against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. That's a 9 p.m. Eastern start. For everybody from CTV, I'm Pat Marsden. Good night.
This CFL telecast has been brought to you by Carling O'Keefe Sports, bringing the sports world home to you. This telecast is copyright and is strictly for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, or rebroadcast in whole or in part without the express written consent of the CTV television network is strictly prohibited.